Hey race fans, it's time for the Fast and the Furious tournament, where speed, skill, and pure horsepower collide. We've got some seriously fast cars lined up for today, and trust me, you do not want to miss what's about to come in this video. So here's the deal. Pick the car who you think will come out on top, drop it in the comments, and let's see who knows their stuff. Alright, here's our 16 car bracket. Let's go ahead and meet our drivers in this tournament. First up, we have Jesse driving his dad's Jetta. Will he keep his car, or will Johnny Tran beat him and take it home? Next up, we have Brian driving his Supra, racing against Dom in the OG Dodge Charger. Next up, we have a beautiful Yenko Camaro racing against Brian in the Eclipse. Next up, we have Han driving Mona Lisa, aka the S15 Sylvia, racing against Drift King himself in the 350Z. Then we have Slapjack in the orange Supra racing against Brian in the famous R34 Skyline. Then we have Suki in the pink S2000 battling against Brian in his Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution. Next up, we have Sean Boswell driving his Monte Carlo, and I wish we had a Viper, but nope, he's racing against Dom in the Hellcat Charger. Then we have the beautiful blue STI racing against Dom in his cousin's Chevy Fleetline. Let's head to the line for race number 1. Alright, our first matchup, we have Jesse racing against Johnny Tran. Careful, Jesse. That guy's got over 100 grand under the hood of that car. Jesse out front early by inches, but Johnny Tran into the turn. Into turn number 2, Jesse out front just a little bit, and Johnny Tran passes him in the air and cuts him off into the turn number 3, and he hits the NOS, and he's out of there. Down the track he goes into turn 4, and Johnny Tran will take race number 1 as he takes out a couple spectators. Alright, folks, Jesse's down 1 race here. Will he be able to come back from this loss? Alright, they switch lanes and head back up to the starting line. Johnny Tran in the far lane, Jesse in the close lane. Neck and neck going into the first turn. Jesse has a slight advantage, but into turn number 2, Johnny Tran in the S2000 takes the lead. He lands on 2 tires, but that didn't slow him down, but Jesse's right in his tail. Can Jesse pass on the inside? No, Jesse blows it. Down to the last turn they go, and Johnny Tran wins by 2 car lengths, and now Jesse owes Johnny Tran that Volkswagen Jetta. And where's Jesse going? Maybe he's going to the car wash. Alright, we'll move Johnny Tran to the next spot in the bracket and we'll head straight into the next group, the orange Supra versus the Dodge Charger. Supra in the far lane. That's Brian driving that against Dom in the Charger. Brian owes Dom a 10-second car. Will he be able to do it? Brian pulls a barrel roll in the second turn into Dom's lane, and down over the jump he goes. Will he stick the landing? He spins over, and so does Dom. They're both on their roofs, and they come to a stop. They'll head back to the starting line and restart in the same position that they were in that past race. Brian out front early again in that Supra, showing how fast that car is versus that Dodge Charger. And folks, there's no trains or trucks on this track, so these two do not have to worry about a crash at the end of this race, but they do have to worry about spectators as long as they can cross the finish line smooth. Brian takes race number 1. They'll rotate lanes at the start and head down the track again. Brian on the inside of the first lane, Dom on the outside. Brian again putting gaps on that Charger. Down over the jump it goes, a little nose heavy. He slides sideways, looks backwards at Dom as he flips over on his hood, and Brian will drive down the track in reverse. Brian's known for driving in reverse, but usually it's in a Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution with his middle finger out the door, which we might see that later in this tournament. Stick around and find out. Brian moves on in the orange Toyota Supra. 2JZ, no shit. Alright, next up we have the Yenko Camaro versus Brian in his Eclipse. We know Brian has a lot of NOS, but I don't know if he can beat the Yenko Camaro. The Yenko Camaro's got a lot of muscle. He can snap that speedo in under 5 seconds. Getting massive air over the jump. We'll slow it down for you again. Landing in the front left of the car, but sticking it, which Brian does not stick it in the Eclipse. The Camaro will travel down the track into the last turn and down across the finish line to take race number 1. Folks, it's not looking good for our boy Brian, but he is in the outside lane now, which is a slightly faster lane for whatever reason on this track. It does have a slight advantage, and you'll find out right in this turn as Brian pulls up side next to that Camaro. But over the jump it goes. The Yenko Camaro passes mid-air and cuts to the left and cuts off Brian. Will Brian be able to come back? He's fast. Now's the time to hit the NOS, Brian. Into the last turn they go, and the Yenko Camaro takes the win by 4 or 5 or 6 car lengths. I didn't measure, but Yenko Camaro wins it. We're keeping the action going and going straight into the next race. We have Han in the S15 Sylvia, aka the Mona Lisa, and DK Drift King in that 350Z. This is not a drift competition, but we'll see if these two travel straight down the track in the fastest line possible, or they want to pull some drift moves to make it really fancy. DK trying to pass on the outside, but Han does not let him by. Han keeps the lead as they go back into the last turn, and DK spins around, trying to pass in reverse, but does not have enough as they cross the finish line. Han will take race number 1. All right, this is DK's time to win, but Han is fast in that Sylvia S15 out in front. Over the jump they go. DK tries to pass midair, takes the inside, but isn't able to pass, and Han pulling away faster than a Banshee out there. Down across the finish line he goes. Where is DK? Well, DK's back there drifting. Someone needs to tell him that drifting is not the fastest way down this track. But hey, with the name DK, you have to do some drifting out there, or you ain't gonna live up to your name. Han in the S15 moves on to the next round. We're gonna head to the opposite side of the bracket. We have Slapjack in the Toyota Supra versus Brian in the iconic R34. We know that R34 is fast. We know Brian's a good driver, but will Brian be able to keep this car on the track? We should find out now. Brian way out in front. We don't even see the Supra. Brian's gonna walk away with this one. Whoa! Brian skids sideways and bounces off of the spoon building and flies off the track completely. And Slapjack, not even in a hurry, trickles down across the finish line and takes race number 1. It's not looking good for Brian here, folks. He has to keep it on the track. I'm not sure why he's attracted to that building, but look at him go. He's super fast. Down the he goes, massive air, landing on his front, almost, the back end almost flying off the track, but he's able to save it with that precision driving and extreme skill, and plus that R34 is just badass. Down over the track he goes, and whoa! Into the same building again! Brian, what are you doing? There he sits on the side of the track. Will Slapjack come down this time and take race number 2? No Slapjack, folks. He must have crashed over the turn. Lucky for Brian, he gets another chance at taking this race and moving on. Again, way out in front with massive air, almost flying off the track. Again, Slapjack spinning around in the background. And speaking of spinning around, Brian spins around, throws it in reverse to see where Slapjack and that Supra is, and he goes down and crosses the finish line in reverse, looking for his opponent, which is nowhere to be found. All right, it's 1-1, folks. It's all tied up. Brian, all he has to do is keep it on the track, and he wins and moves on. Another massive amount of air in that R34. Dang, that thing is sexy. Bring it home, Brian. Around the last turn he goes, and oh my gosh, he hits a man, an S2000, and the spoon building again for the 3rd time. And that man just goes flying and knocks over another man. We're gonna need medical attention trackside. And here comes Slapjack. When he get by, Slapjack passes Brian, hits the guy on the side of the track, and wins and moves on. You hate to see that from Brian. He goes home packing in round number 1. Next up, we have Suki in the pink S2000 and Brian driving that Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution. He is too fast. He's too furious. Too fast for me. I'm a terrible singer, but we're gonna leave that in there. Brian's flying down the track. He's going in the last turn. Can he stick it, or is he gonna drive off the track like he did in the Skyline? There's still a man on the side of the track. That man has his feet on the side of the track still. Someone get that man out of the way, or he could seriously get injured. Hopefully the track crew is down their trackside and get that guy off the track into safety, because here comes these cars again. Brian in the Evo again way out front, jumps it, and he's a little nose heavy there, but is able to hold on to it. Does a little bit of drift around turn number 3. Suki not applying any pressure whatsoever. Brian is going to walk away with this one. And whoa! I told you, he hit the guy on the side of the track, and Suki comes down and hits the other guy in the head, folks. Oh my gosh, that has to be a fatality. That guy is not living. There's no possible way. I hope he signed the waivers that we sent out. Sorry, that was just a moment of silence. I took a moment of silence for that man on the track because we're not sure if he is alive or not. He's in critical condition, I've heard. Actually, I don't even know. He's a 164 scale figure. He's probably fine. He just got hit by a little car and doesn't actually have brains to splatter on the track at all. All right, here comes Dom down this track in his Charger. He's racing against Sean Boswell in the Monte Carlo. Dom hits the S2000, spins around sideways, collides with who knows how many people, comes to a stop in reverse, and Sean Boswell in the Monte Carlo takes race number 1. They will switch lanes, and out of there again they go. Again, the Charger is out front. That's the Hellcat version of that. That thing is fast, sleek, black, all blacked out and looking good. Can he stick it on the track? Race number 2 goes to Dom in the Charger, and we don't even see Sean Boswell make it down the track. It's possible that he did not make it over that jump because that Monte Carlo's got a very skinny wheelbase, which is not very stable on this track. The Charger out front again. As long as he can keep it on the track, he will knock Sean Boswell out of this tournament. And there you go, folks. Again, hitting a CRX, an Advan livery CRX on the side of the track, but crossing the finish line. Dom and the Charger moves on to the next round. Next up, we have an STI driven, I think it was driven by Dom and Brian in 2 different scenes of the movie, but that STI, we're not gonna call a driver in that one. We're just gonna say the STI racing against the Chevy Fleetwood. No, this, not Fleetwood. This isn't Fleetwood Mac. It's a Chevy Fleet Line. Nonetheless, that car was on fire in the movies, and it does not look like it's going to make it very far in this race. Not with a lot of speed. The WRX STI crosses the finish line in first place. They switch lanes and they're out of there again. The STI out front early. Can he hold on to it? That STI is strong out of the gate, but we have just seen that he's not a strong finisher. Down in the last turn, making the slight bounce off the curb, drift across the finish line. He takes it in 2 races and moves on to the next round. That wraps up round number 1. We're going to head back over in the bracket to the S2000 and the Supra. Johnny Tran versus Brian. Who do you have to come out on top? Did you pick either of these cars to win? I hope you did. I hope you followed the instructions at the beginning of this video and picked your favorite car and dropped it in the comments. Folks, I genuinely hope your car is still in this tournament. And we just missed a crazy move by Johnny Tran, landing sideways and whoa! I didn't even know. Screw that move. This move's cooler. Brian just pulled a 1080 off that spoon building. I'm not sure what it is about that spoon building or the position of it, but we might have to add some guardrails down on that part of the track. The end of the track has low side rails for this reason, folks. It's an added obstacle. What the heck just happened? Brian just jumped completely off the track. So much air, he shot to the left and missed the track completely. You hate to see that happen because there is no sub-track padding under this system at all. That is an impact with the ground, which if you know Hot Wheels and you know hard objects, that could bend an axle and end your career. Or you could die. Johnny Tran moves on. Next up, we have the Yenko Camaro versus Han in the S15. That Yenko Camaro is looking good, but Han is fast. Down to the jump they go. The Yenko wants to pass midair, and he rolls off the track. Lands. It looks like Han might have veered to the left a little bit and bumped into him. Was that sabotage? Is Han driving dirty? Let me know in the comments. Do you think Han was driving dirty there, or do you think that was a clean jump over that jump? Was it a clean jump over the jump? All right, it looks like the Yenko Camaro is back on the track and still rolling. That's good to see. But is he a match for Han? The Mona Lisa, the perfect piece of art, still intact. I hated that part of the movie, man. They just wrecked that car, and you know they wrecked it for real. And that's a beautiful S15. And you know how much money they waste in these movies wrecking cars. If you just give me a little, I would take a wrecked S15. Just hand it over. I'll take it. I'll fix it up, and I'll leave it in my garage, and I'll sit in it and act like I'm driving it, even if it doesn't run, even if it's smashed up. I'll take it. Salvage title and all. All right, we have the Mitsubishi Lancer Revolution racing against Slapjack in the Toyota Supra. We had 2 Supras enter this tournament. Will either of them win? One's already out, and it looks like it's not looking good for Slapjack in that. I think it's a 1994 Supra, Hot Wheels casting. However, I'm not sure what year the Supra was in the movie. Brian pulling the signature Evo move. I'm pretty sure if little figures that drive these cars could, he would have his hand out the window with his middle finger in the air. He hits something at the finish line. It could potentially be the finish line cam, and he stops to look for his competition, which is not there. Brian moves on. to the next round. We have Johnny Tran, Han, and Brian in the Evo in the next round. We have Dom in the Charger versus the STI. Dom looking really good over that jump. Sticks landing. Will the STI even have a chance against Dom? Dom was looking good. Does a little drift in the last turn and takes race number 1 with ease. STI spins around backwards, pulling some style points at the end there that add up to absolutely nothing. Folks, we do not get style points. If you think we should add a style point scoring criteria in this tournament, let us know in the comments. That could be cool. Whoa! Dom spins around sideways, and the STI takes advantage of it, bumping off of his rear bumper and taking the win in race number 2. It's tied up 1 race to 1 race. And somehow, the Charger gets spun back around and makes it down the track. All right, the Charger is in the slightly faster lane, and we know it's slightly faster, but can he stick it on the track and hold it off for the win? We find out right now. He spins sideways in the same turn again, and the STI in reverse passes in the exact same spot he did in the last race. Spins back around, again, the style points. Holy crap, that looks cool. 180s in the turn and down across the finish line he goes, and the STI is not the fastest car, but he might be the luckiest car, because folks, he's moving on to the final 4. Things are really heating up in the Fast and the Furious tournament at Tiny Track Cars, a matchup you never thought you'd see. It's Han versus Johnny Tran. Did they ever meet in any movie? I'm not really sure. Speaking of dirty moves, folks, remember that time I had you vote in the comments if that was a dirty move, knocking the car off the track? Again, I want you to let me know if you thought that was a dirty move. The S2000 was a little unstable after landing that jump, and Han just slid his car right underneath and rolled him over in that turn. Han out front again, down over the jump they go. Surprisingly, Han is fast, but he does not get a lot of air off the jumps, which is good. Less air time, the better. Johnny Tran right in his butt, and now right in the junkyard because he just smashed that beautiful S2000, and Johnny Tran will go home packing, and Han will move on to the finals. Who's going to join him? We have an STI versus Evo battle here. This is the classic rally car battle. I personally owned an 04 STI. I'm rooting for the STI, but the Evo is extremely fast, and he's showing it, folks. He's way out in front. He's going to walk away with this one. Hits a car, and surprisingly, no people? The one man cheering gets nipped the littlest bit, but that was the closest I've ever seen a car to so many people, and no one actually got hurt in that, except for the guy's car got smashed and chucked off the track. All right, the Evo is up 1 race to 0. The STI right in his tail. Will the STI be able to get by the Evo? It's not looking so good for the Evo, but the Evo's off the track. 50-50 grinding. I don't know if it's a 50-50 grind. I think a 50-50 grind is on both axles. That was kind of like one axle up, and I don't know. Skateboarders, let me know what that grind was. Either way, Brian lost that race by literally a car length. The STI, again with his luck, sneaks by and crosses the finish line in first place. Whoa, look at that move. Lands, throws his tail up on the berm, slides it sideways, and still holds on to first place. That STI knocking on the back door, or the trunk, of that Evo. Into the last one they go. The Evo is backwards. He's sideways, trying to block the STI, and he fails to make the block, and the STI will move on again, folks. I'm telling you, that STI is not fast, but he is lucky. Will his luck continue against Han here in the finals? Mona Lisa versus the STI. Two beautiful cars. Did you predict either of these cars would make it this far in this tournament? I sure didn't. I was rooting for the S2000 because I am personally an S2000 fan. I'm an S2000 collector, not real ones. I've had 2 of them in real life, but I collect 164 scale S2000s, and I was rooting for, personally, Suki, because I like her more than Johnny Tran. Han goes up 1 race to 0, and he's looking good in the second race as well. Is this going to be an exciting finals or a boring finals? The STI on the tail of Han takes the inside. Can he make the pass? No, he gets denied by Han, the S15, and S15 takes the win and wins the Fast and the Furious tournament. Han the S15 is the winner, folks. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you picked Han from the beginning. Again, I really appreciate you being here. Your support means more than you know. If you like this video, hit that like button, subscribe, and maybe consider sharing it. And we'll see you in the next one.
Nice car. What's the retail on one of those?
More than you can afford, pal. Ferrari. Smoke. Welcome back, ladies, gentlemen, and carbon fiber enthusiasts, to the thrill-filled spectacle of our Fast and the Furious Rally Tournament. What you just saw was a 2JZ engine laying the smack down on some fool in a Ferrari. And now, brace yourselves as we slide into Round 1, Group 4, a collective that could be mistaken for a very expensive traffic jam on the world's fastest roundabout. First up, we got Numbskull from Numbskull Racing, undoubtedly a brains over brawn type, gracing us with his nimble 350Z. It's DK, Drift King's car from Tokyo Drift, but we promise Numbskull will not be drifting off during this race. And next up, we have Scooter Roundwell. Now, there's a name you'd expect to see on a postman, not a speed demon. But don't let that fool you, because he's here to deliver a package of pure speed in his 1969 Yenko Camaro. Let's hope his delivery is first class and not lost in the mail. Now introducing Disaster Jack, driving an orange Toyota Supra. Hey, wait a second. Isn't that car supposed to be a convertible? Regardless, let's hope his racing is as memorable as his car choice. Finally, we have James Ironbeard, tasked with filling the size 13 racing boot of Dom himself as he thunders along in his 1970 Dodge Charger RT. And when we say big shoes to fill, we mean clown shoes, of course, because driving Dom's car without a bald head for aerodynamics is, well, a bit of a circus act. All right, grab your popcorn, folks, kind of like the guy at the end of the track on the rocks, because this DIECAST racing action is about to begin. It's showtime. And we're at the starting line for race 1 of 8 of round 4. We're going to see Nitro and then Send It, and they will be out of there. We have Numbskull in the 350Z in the first lane, Scooter Roundwell in the Camaro in the second lane. They're going up the hill into the 360. It looks like Disaster Jack and the Supra are out front. They will take it, followed by Scoot Roundwell, and then James Ironbeard, and I believe I saw DK, aka Numbskull, pop in there as well right at the end. We'll slow that down for you here. Up the hill, it looks like Disaster Jack and that Supra, big turbo, spooling as they go through the 360s. It looks like Scooter Roundwell may have been able to catch up just a little bit, but did not have enough to catch Disaster Jack in that beautiful orange Supra. As we see at the finish line here, we do see Numbskull and that 350Z cruising across the finish line. And folks, that's race number 1 in the books. We have Disaster Jack in first with 4 points. They switch lanes, rotate one lane to their right, our lefts. James Ironbeard will go to lane 1 in that Dodge Charger RT. And we've got Numbskull in lane 2. Will he be able to take advantage of that fast lane that looks like he is falling behind despite being the fastest lane? And there's a race for the finish, folks. I didn't even see that coming. Let's slow that down for you and take a look at what transpired to see Disaster Jack and Scooter Roundwell battle for the finish line there. Early on, you can see right here, Scooter Roundwell has about a car length on Disaster Jack as they go under that first overpass. Disaster Jack catches up in that Supra, and they are literally side by side at the top of the 360 entering in there. You will see that Scooter Romwell and the Camaro has a little bit of an inside line advantage here, but it all evens out when they converge to the end of the track. Jack coming in hot, but it does not look like he has enough to take down Scooter Romwell in that Yenko Camaro. Just too much horsepower. We'll go to the finish line cam and freeze frame that for you to see how close that race was. Just kidding, we did not freeze frame that. We're going to go watch it again, and then we freeze frame it. It looks like just by a bumper, Scooter Romwell takes that race. And folks, then you see Numbskull coming in 350Z. It looks like he actually may be drifting off and not racing. We will see if he can turn this around. That's a beautiful looking 350Z. All right, we got Disaster Jack in the first lane, James Ironbeard in the second lane, Numbskull, and then Scooter Romwell over by that skid steer. They are out of there over the first jump. Neck and neck going up into the 360, minus Numbskull. As they come out of the 360, what do we have? Oh, Disaster Jack on his lid, spins out, flies off, hits a holler. Holy Supra, Batman. That was a crazy crash. Let's slow that down for you and see what might have happened here. James Ironbeard and Disaster Jack side by side as they go into the 360. James pulls ahead just slightly. It's possible Disaster Jack got on it a little bit too hard coming out of that 360 and spun out of control. There you see he's backwards. Disaster Jack, that's the wrong way. You're not supposed to go in reverse. And that is the result. Flips off, hits that transport in the side of the track, and he comes to a screeching halt. There you see it from the finish line camera. James Ironbeard in the Dodge Charger taking first place and 4 points and making his comeback. It starts here, Dommy Dom. Let's go. 10-second car. All right, Scooter Romwell out front with 10, followed closely by James Ironbeard. No one is out of it yet, except maybe Numbskull. He's going to beat the skid steer, though, because that skid steer has not moved, folks. And they're out of there for race 4 as they go up into the 360s. It looks like Disaster Jack is way out in front, and he's up on his side. Oh my gosh! Speaking of circus act, he is putting on a show for us, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, stop that right now. That's a little bit annoying. All right, let's slow that down for you. Watch that. James Ironbeard looks like he has the speed. Does lose a little bit of momentum going up that hill into the 360. But we know Disaster Jack is fast, and he is in lane 2, the quickest lane. But he has to tackle that bridge. Tackle it with too much speed, and you'll end up sliding on your side and onto your hood across the finish line. But despite all that, despite the sparks flying, and maybe his helmet dragging on the track just slightly, he was able to hold on to first place and take 4 points in this race. Let's watch this circus act from the finish line camera here. He is up on his side, balancing on his tires, folks. Balancing on his tires, flops over to his hood, and flips across the finish line. Luckily, he's able to keep it on the track. A rollover like that could end very badly if he was, per se, hitting pedestrians. Blah! Fatality! Oh, that's not trademarked, is it? All right, they are back to their original positions. Race 5, Numbskull in lane 1. Disaster Jack and James Ironbeard up the hill. Disaster Jack sideways, still able to catch up and pass, but does not have enough to keep up with Scooter Romwell. We'll slow it down for you in a tiny track cars instant replay. Here you see Jack and James go up the hill to maybe win this race. But when they went around the 360 and came back down, Scooter was in their face. That's my nursery rhyme out of this race. Impromptu nursery rhymes. Let's keep it in there. All right, there you see, after the stumble up the hill, drifts sideways, Disaster Jack is able to come back and pass James Ironbeard, but does not have enough to overtake Scooter Romwell and that Camaro coming down the lane 2 bridge, folks. If Disaster Jack was able to keep that on the track after that jump, he probably would have won this race, but he did not. Scooter Romwell taking 4 points, moving up the leaderboard just slightly. We have Scooter Romwell with 16, Disaster Jack with 14, and James Ironbeard trailing with 13. And if Numbskull doesn't get his beep 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 together, then he's probably going to be out of it. Okay, race 6. We need to calm down a little bit. That was a lot of racing action. We need to focus and Just focus on good announcing, good, clean racing, everybody. Nobody go off the track. Everyone's going to finish this race. All right. Scooter Roundwell spins around, showing off as he takes another victory and 4 more points. Scooter Roundwell widening the gap for his lead here. Let's see what might have happened to Disaster Jack and why he was so far back there. We have Numbskull in lane 2. Don't expect much from him capitalizing on that lane. But Scooter Roundwell here, like I said, spinning around, seeing how far his competition was away from him as he skidded across the finish line. I would not recommend trying that, folks. If you're in the lead, don't look in your rearview mirror, cross the finish line, and then worry about what position you're in. Don't do that. But congratulations, Scooter Roundwell. You got 4 points, followed by a orange Supra and a Charger that should be doing wheelies, and I haven't seen a wheelie yet. Maybe he's holding out till race 8. All right, Scooter Roundwell running away with this one. Let's see if the other 2 drivers can come back. James Ironbeard in the fast lane. Disaster Jack in lane 1. Again, we will get lane numbers on this track eventually. Maybe, if it's in the budget. So please like, subscribe, turn on that bell notification so we can get into the partner program and buy a dang marker off of Amazon and get some numbers on the track. Sorry, I'm a little heated there. I was also Google searching best markers to write on Spoolheads SR2 track. Huge shout out to Spoolheads for sponsoring this track. All of this track is custom 3D printed, designed by Spoolheads. Please check them out, spoolheads.com. Russ at Spoolheads is so awesome to work with. He's been great, and I owe the success of this track to him. All right, we'll finish with the finish line cam shot here. Disaster Jack did take that one, followed by James Ironbeard. James was unable to capitalize on being in the fast lane. I'm not sure if that thing is running on 7 cylinders or maybe 6 or maybe 5, or maybe they did a K20 swap in that Charger. It seems like everyone's putting a darn K20 in their cars these days. K20, big turbo, Hondas, VTEC means winning. All right, they're out of there. We have James Ironbeard out front, but Disaster Jack shortly behind. Looks like lane 2, and Disaster Jack will walk away with it. James Ironbeard taking out Scooter Roundwell, putting up a fight. What does that mean for the points? Let's see the replay, and then we'll check out the points and see how close points of this showdown are. Numbskull is for sure out of it, but I believe there was a battle for second and third. It looks like Disaster Jack may have just clinched his spot in the next round. We'll see that scoreboard to see who will follow him. As we watch the finish line cam here, Disaster Jack way out in front. James Ironbeard not giving up, putting a hurting on that Camaro. But folks, congratulations to Disaster Jack and Scooter Roundwell. You've both done an amazing job. Numbskull, thanks again for being at our track. You are an amazing builder. James Ironbeard, you're great. Come back again soon. We love you. Welcome back to Tiny Track Cars. We have another Fast and the Furious battle, and folks, I bet you will not be able to guess who will win this Heroes versus Villains Fast and the Furious event. Yes, it's the Heroes versus the Villains. Are the Heroes going to win, or are the Villains going to take them down? We find out right now in this 16-car Fast and the Furious tournament. Let's go ahead and meet our first 4 drivers in this tournament. In group number 1, car number 1, representing the team Villains, we have the 1973 Chevy Camaro. That car is bad because they're on the villain team. And then we have Brian's R34 Skyline for the good guys. And then we have Johnny Tran in the Honda S2000 with over $100,000 in motor work under that hood of the car, which is, I guess it's possible. And then last but not least in this group, we have the beautiful, beautiful Suki driving the pink S2000. They're at the starting line there. The Skyline is in the pole position inside lane. Camaro on the outside lane. The Skyline is going to get to the first, I was going to say to the jump first, but there is no jump in this version of the track. However, it is back and you'll be able to see it in the next race. This one does not have a jump in this version of the TTC Open Circuit. That's the best part about this circuit, is that it can change from race to race. It's so easy to change up. Russell at Spoolheads has designed such an amazing track. If you want a track like this, go ahead and head over to spoolheads.com and use code TTC for 5% off all of your Spoolheads orders. Race number 2, down across the finish line, it's Suki in first place. It's Johnny Tran in second place, Brian in third place, and the Camaro, unfortunately, we saw flip over in the back of the frame. That Camaro will not be putting any points on the board and is not looking good for Team Villain here, even though Johnny Tran in the S2000 is fast, getting pushed by Brian in that R34 right behind him. Brian trying to take the inside. It's Suki out in front. Dual sliding sideways between Suki and Johnny Tran. Brian is able to pass on the outside and puts 4 points. Well, he puts 3 points on the board, but he's in second place with 9, and he slides to the front left position. That's a good spot for him to start in if he wants to move on. It looks like it might be Suki and Brian, but who knows? Is Johnny Tran going to disrupt the pack here in the good versus evil battle, Fast and the Furious style? Down across the finish line, Brian is absolutely flying out there. He's in first place, and Brian in the R34 Skyline moves on with 13 points, and Suki moves on with 12. That's a good guy and a good girl. Moving on to round number 2. Let's see if the bad boys, the bad guys, the bad dudes can come back in round number 2. Next up, we have the DeLorean Alpha 5 for the bad guys. We have a Nissan Skyline R33 for the good guys. We have DK in his Nissan 350Z for the bad guys. And then Han's a good guy. We have the Nissan S15 Silvia in the 4th spot here in Good versus Bad Tournament Fast and Furious. Race number 1, they're out of there. That DeLorean is super long, has a long wheelbase, and low to the ground, low center of gravity. It looks like he is absolutely flying out there, putting some gaps and gaps and gaps on the pack. It's Han in spot number 2, Leon in spot number 3, and DK in spot number 4. One race in, and the villains are winning with 4 points. But it's Han in the S15, rocketing out in front, sliding sideways, DK drifting it, Tokyo drifting it, Han. Mona Lisa, get that thing straightened out, because here comes DK in the 350Z. On the outside, trying to push on Han. They're nose to nose, down across the finish line they go. It's a close one, but it's Han who takes 4 points in race number 2. 7 points for Han, 5 for the DeLorean Alpha 5. They rotate one position clockwise again. Han is out front just a little bit, but here comes the 350Z of DK, sliding in right behind Han in the second place position. Those two have seemed to be the fast cars in this group. The R33 Skyline not looking so hot back there. DeLorean sliding sideways just a little bit. Is he gonna be able to hold on to it for the bad guys, or will DK move on for the bad guys? We shall find out right now. DK in the inside right position, getting pushed by Han. Those two have seemed to be the fastest ones in this pack. Han right behind DK. Down in the last turn they go. DK holding it steady over that little Humpty Dumpty and down, collecting 4 points. It looks like Donkey Kong or Drift King or whatever you want to call it. DK will be going on. The first person for the villains, the first driver for the villains, the first car for the villains in the next round, and Han for the good guys moving into round number 2 as well. And then the other side of the bracket, we have a Ford. It's not a Mustang, so we don't have to worry. It's a Ford Fairlane. And then second, we have Brian and his Supra, which later became Dom Supra, and I don't even know what Supra, whose Supra it is right now. And then we have an Aston Martin DB9. And then last in this group, we have Brian's Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution. That's not an Evolution, that's an Eclipse. Mitsubishi Eclipse from Fast 1, original Fast and the Furious. The Ford looking fast off the line, but that horsepower tapers off. He lost the top speed, and now he lost his top because he's spinning over, and now he's scraping on the track. Will anyone be able to get by him? The Aston Martin trying to push by. Ford still on its hood, driving across the finish line. Brian in the Eclipse spins around backwards, takes 4th place, and it's the Toyota Supra taking first. Who do we got going in this one? Is it going to be the good guys or the bad guys? Good guys, we have the Supra and the Eclipse. Bad guys, we have the DB9 and the Ford Fairlane. The Mitsubishi Lancer sliding sideways there, the DB9 catching up, and again the Ford on its hood. The Supra pushing the Ford down the track. Will the Supra be able to get by the Ford Fairlane? Tries to get by on the inside, but gets denied, spins out. It's the Aston Martin taking the inside in the Eclipse. The Ford almost passing the Eclipse on his hood. Down across the finish line they go. It is Aston Martin, Eclipse, Ford, and then Toyota. Close race, 5-5-6 Ford. Still anyone's game in this one. Aston Martin slides to the front. Mitsubishi Lancer slides to the front right. Lancer... Wait, do I keep saying Lancer? It's an Eclipse. Holy cannoli. Where is my brain at today? Speaking of Eclipse, it just got passed. speaking of Ford, which I wasn't speaking about the Ford at all, but now I am because he passed the Supra and almost passed the Aston Martin. Holy crap, that car that was been on his hood the whole time decided to wake up and put his foot on the gas and drive past some cars. Too bad it might be too late for that Ford Fairlane, but we'll find out right now as they head down the track for race number 4. It's the Toyota Supra on the inside in front of the Aston Martin DB9. DB9 right in his tail, kissing his bumper with his front lip, and now it's the Supra going down into the last turn. Down across the finish line they go. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow, that's very close. We're gonna have to watch that again on the slow motion replay that we don't actually have. It's the Aston Martin DB9 moving on, and the Toyota Supra moving on in group number 3. I'm not sure what accent that was. If you guys have any idea what part of the world I might be coming from with that accent, let me know in the comments. Yes, that's a first here, folks. That is a premium Dodge Viper from Tokyo Drift. Heck yeah, it is. And then it's Jesse's Jetta. He's driving for the good guys, even though Jesse's questionable. And then we have the Copo Camaro. Yenko Camaro. That's a Yenko Camaro, not a Copo. Where is Copo? Where is Yenko? And who the heck are those guys? And then we have Mia in the beautiful RX-8. That's a nice car. I got that car, and the wheels didn't spin. Brand new, out of the package, wheels were jammed up into the bumper. I had to drill it and put some different wheels on that. That's why those look not like the factory wheels. And speaking of Camaro, I wasn't speaking about the Camaro. I keep saying I was never... Whoa. That's a crazy shot. Holy cannoli. Who took the win on that one? Well, it's the Viper that took the win. And second was Jesse in the Jetta. And third was the Camaro. And that had to be by just the hair of my chinny chin chin, which there's a few of them. And they're very short. That's the distance. That Viper is absolutely flying out there. So fast that he decides to spin around, check out the competition to see if anyone's even behind him. Tries to get spun back around again, gets stuck a little bit, and here comes the RX-8 flying down across the finish line. Can the RX-8 take it? No, the Viper takes it, and Jesse's still wondering what the heck happened to... Well, you drive a Volkswagen Jetta, so that's probably where you went wrong in the first place, Jesse. Not the best choice out there for road racing, but neither is a Camaro. RX-8 way out in front, getting pushed by the Viper. They are both absolutely flying out there. Down across the finish line. Can the Viper get by? The Viper, holy cannoli. What an absolutely stunning finish you saw there. Slowing it down for you. I don't know who won. We're going to watch it again from a different camera. They get some air. Here comes the Viper down across the finish line, slowing it down super duper slow. And it's the RX-8 who takes the win. But the Viper is out front with 11 points, followed by the RX-8 with 8. The RX-8 Ocho. ESPN 8, the Ocho. The Viper and the RX-8 are in the back of the pack this time. But that Viper is wasting no time and absolutely flies by Jesse on the inside, making a perfect move. The RX-8 trying to get by as well. Jesse's holding up the pack. Here comes the cars down across the finish line. Viper slides off the track, hits a car, hits a Land Cruiser. Holy cannoli, and down across the finish line they go. We're going to watch that again from the chase cam. Viper pops sideways. He's able to hold on to the second place position. And then the RX-8 almost passes the Jetta right at the last second. And there you get a beautiful view of the GoPro camera at the finish line. You're welcome. No plug. We actually swapped those GoPros out for DJI Action 5s. Those Action 5s are actually better. I like them more than GoPros. That's not sponsored. I'm just telling you the honest to gosh truth. Right up in your face with the truth. All right, it's round number 2. We slide to the left-hand side of the bracket. Holy cannoli, Suki. What kind of crazy action spin was that? Suki holding first place position from Brian, just barely. And DK and Han battling. Is it Sean battling DK for the first time in Tokyo Drift? Is that Mona Lisa smashed up? Nope, it's looking good. And it's in the race for race number 2. But Brian's R34 is out front. We've seen that R34 many, many times on this track. And folks, we know it's fast, but it has yet to win a gosh darn tournament. There's the smashed Mona Lisa we like to see. Nice job, Sean, smashing up that S15. Han's never going to love you again. Just kidding, he actually forgives you. And then gives you an Evo. And, wow, okay. We're not going to relive this Tokyo Drift. I relive it every day in my dreams. DK pushing hard on the back of Suki. Han's S15 up on the curb. Not looking good for Han. Han flies off, hits a taco truck. Holy cannoli, and there he is on his lid spinning across the finish line. We're going to slow it down for you because we like cool action like that. And there he is laying on the track, and everybody else crossed the finish line. 10 points for Brian in the R34, and 11 for Suki Dookie in that
Honda. Just a little Honda out there racing down the track. All right, R34 moves into the second position in front of Han. Han is too intimidated and slides around sideways, but able to spin back around and hold on to third place for front of DK. But it's the S2000 and the R34 moving to the finals. Two good guys. On the left-hand side of the bracket, we have no villains. We have two heroes. Is Brian really a hero? He's a cop. Brian, you a cop? No, man, I'm not a cop. Yeah, I'm a cop. Hey, you, Brian! Okay, enough of that. Viper pushing on the Supra. Down across the finish line, that Supra is holding on to everything he has. Literally everything he has to keep the first place. And yes, he takes it. He holds on. He blocks that Viper with every ounce of muscle, every inch of, I don't even know, all this stuff. Yeah, all this stuff was blocking the Viper. And holy crap, that Viper just whipped around that corner faster than a Banshee out there. Actually, I'm pretty sure a Viper is faster than a Banshee. Like literally faster than a Banshee. Are we talking about the animal Banshee or the Yamaha Banshee, the four-wheeler, the two-stroke thing, you know? I used to have one of those back in the day. I used to race motocross on it. Not the best motocross four-wheeler. Luckily, I sold it, bought a 400EX, which later I did a 450 conversion on it. Much better. This is before the 450s came out, because I'm old, and I used to race motocross back in the day before you can like just buy a, TRX 450 and go drive it at the. No, okay. No one cares about my past. Let's just watch DIECAST Racing and watch to see if the heroes or the villains will come out on top. That Camaro is out in front, getting pushed by the Viper. That Camaro has never went so fast in his life. That Viper is absolutely pushing hard out there, spinning around. That Viper might be the fastest car we've seen on the track in this tournament, but folks, we see it is squirrely. All right, and then on the right-hand side of the bracket, we have two villains moving on. We have the Dodge Viper. Make it interesting, Clay. And then we also have the Yenko Camaro in the finals. It's an R34, it's a S2000, it's a Camaro, and it's a Viper. We are out of there. Suki in the S2000, or whoever's driving that. Hopefully it's Suki. And the Camaro pulls in a second in front of Brian in the Skyline, and the Viper, who we thought was going to dominate this field, is absolutely doing nothing out there. He gets DNF. He slides sideways. He is out of it for race number one. He's going to need a lot of stinking points to come back if he wants to come back from a DNF, a 0. Speaking of getting a lot of points, that Viper is flying. He means business, and he wants to put some points on the board. The Yenko Camaro right behind him. Brian in the R34 behind him. The Yenko Camaro pushing hard on that Viper, and 2, 3, 4 across the finish line just like that. But it's the Viper taking 4 points and catching up to Brian in the Skyline. Holy cannoli, Suki was up underneath that Camaro. That Camaro's bigger rear end, and oh my gosh, the Camaro's off the track. Just catapults himself fully off the track. He just yeeted himself off of the track. And then Suki makes an epic move. Whoa! Up on 2 wheels, passing that Dodge Viper on the inside, sliding up on the curb and across the finish line. You go get him, Suki! Yeah! Woo! Final race, we have Suki in front with 9 points, and she's in the great track position to put some more points on the board. Camaro getting pushed by the Viper. They're out in front. Camaro comes out of that turn just slightly ahead. Viper getting pushed by Suki. The Viper needs to get ahead of Suki. But is Brian getting ahead of the Viper? Down across the finish line, Suki takes second. What does that mean for the points? It's Suki. Dookie Bookie, who takes the win in the Fast and the Furious Heroes vs. Villains tournament and puts some points on the board for the villains. Welcome back, gearheads and speedsters, to our Fast and the Furious tournament. We're stepping on the gas for round 1, Group 3, where die-cast machines meet the thrill of high-speed competition. Buckle up, because it's about to get intense. All right, first up, we've got Puff. Yes, Puff, not Baby Richie. Baby Richie has retired. Puff is back at the track. Puff is a master of drift behind the wheel of this slick Toyota Super GR, a machine that is as fast as it is furious. And with Puff's fearless steering, expect an electrifying performance. Up next, we have no other than Sam Hall from DRT3K, a muscle car maestro driving a custom Ford Mustang GT350. Don't blink, or you'll miss the raw power and speed that this GT350 packs under its hood. Ah, yes, Speedball Herman, our very own speed demon, is taking the course with a sizzling yellow Nissan 370Z. Speedball's well-known precision combined with his lightning-quick machine will surely bring jaw-dropping moments. And last, but not least, we've got Strike, rocking the track with a vintage beauty, a 1972 Ford Gran Torino Sport. When retro charm meets high-powered action, the result is nothing short of breathtaking. Hold on to your seats, folks, because this DIECAST Arena is about to turn up the heat. Let's start your engines. It's race time. All right, at the starting line, we got Puff in lane 1, Sam Hall in lane 2, Speedball Herman 3, and Strike in lane 4. They are out of there over the first jump. Over the second jump, it looks like Strike is falling behind. Will he be able to make it through those loops? And Sam Hall is out front, as you see Puff trying to catch up, hitting that jump with an extreme amount of air, bouncing his way across the finish line. It looks like in the replay here, Strike is hardly making it up that hill. We did not see him cross the finish line. We will take a look at what happened to Strike, but first we're going to watch Sam Hall take this victory. As you see, like I said before, Puff bouncing his way across the finish line, and Speedball Herman tries so hard to catch Puff. Look at that air as we freeze frame that. Puff is in the air, bouncing, coming across the finish line, taking second place. And we will see what happened to Strike here. Ah, yes, there is Strike stuck in the 360. He did not have enough speed and momentum to get him through that in that Gran Turismo Sport. All right, Puff with 3 points, Sam Hall with 4, Speedball Herman with 2. Puff moves to lane 2, which is the fast lane. I do need to get on the track crew to get some lane numbers on this track. We actually number them from the looking down the track, this chase cam from left to right. You know, it's a little confusing from the start cam because it's all backwards. But sorry, I've been talking, and Puff walked away with that one, followed by I'm not even sure who. And then we have Strike, who decided to make an appearance at this race. But there you see Strike hardly making it over that first jump. He stumbles, but somehow is able to finish this race. Let's focus on the front 3 drivers. We have Puff in lane 2. That is a fast lane, but it looks like Sam Hall is fast in that Mustang as well, but does not have enough to keep up with Puff. All right, that's it. Race 2 is over. I'm gonna grab some coffee. I'll be right back. Ah, what a day at the office. Ah, this coffee is good. Okay, back to recording. There we go. Okay, and we're back, folks. And, well, there, looks like Strike finally made it across the finish line. Congratulations, Strike. You put some points on the board. And I have some nice warm coffee in my hand now. There you see Puff taking the victory in race 2, followed by Sam Hall and Speedball Herman. We have a tie for first place between Puff and Sam Hall. Those two will continue to battle it out as behind the scorecard you do see Strike finally making it across the finish line in that replay. They are at the line for race 3, NITRO, and they're going to be sending it down this Rainier Rallycross track. Puff and Sam Hall battling it out. Looks like Puff has the inside lane. He will move forward and take another victory, and Sam Hall flips off the track trying to catch up with Puff, and he just overdoes it, folks. Let's watch that again in slow motion here. It looks like Puff and Sam Hall are way out in front. Speedball Herman right behind them. Strike, he's kind of doing okay. But Puff is way out in front. Sam Hall tries to catch him, and you see right there, flips off the track, is airborne above Speedball Herman. Speedball Herman somehow navigates around that wreckage and is able to take second place. Let's watch that from the finish line cam. There you see Sam Hall drifting sideways through that turn, flying off the track out of control. That Mustang has too much power and cannot stay on the track. This just in, Ford Mustangs are not as agile as Toyota Supras. Just saying. Well, at least 5th gen Toyota Supras. I can't even talk about 4th gen because those are a little bit bigger, bulkier, heavier. All right, we see Sam Hall crashed at the gap of that last finish line double. As you see the scores, 7 and 7 for Sam Hall and Speedball Herman. It's a tight race for second place. Puff is out in front with 11. Speedball Herman moves into lane 2, the fast lane. This is his opportunity to capitalize and get 4 points. Will he be able to pull it off here? It looks like Puff out front again. Sam Hall in front of Speedball Herman as they go through 360s. Speedball pulls back in front, but he has that bridge. Sam Hall wins it. Speedball Herman second, just barely. Puff was coming in hot, but Speedball Herman put a blocking maneuver on him at the finish line to save second place. Let's take a look at that. Puff going so fast, he is up on his 2 right tires there, loses a little bit of speed going into the 360. It looks like Sam Hall out in front just a little bit, but then Speedball Herman takes a slight lead, but has to go over that bridge. Sam Hall pulls in front. Speedball closing the door on Puff and securing that second place. That'll be a good one to watch in the second group of 4 races here to see if Puff is able to take the victory over Speedball in that exact same lane situation. We shall find out. That might determine who moves on and who doesn't. All right, round 4, race 4 in. We have 13 for Puff. And then the rest of the people have some scores too. It left the screen. I didn't see it fast enough. Dang it. Okay, race 5. They are back to their original positions with Puff in lane 1. Lane 1. Why am I singing? And it looks like Sam Hall is out front, and Puff does an exact duplicate of race 1 in race 5 from the same lane. Gets an extreme amount of air over that finish line jump. That Supra is fast and high flying and also very consistent, although it looks like Sam Hall might be a little faster as Sam Hall is sideways up that overpass lane. Puff spins around to see how far back Speedball Herman is behind him, secures second place. Let's see those scores. Mr. Scoreboard Lady, Mr. Scoreboard Lady, Mrs. Scoreboard Lady, let's show, first instant replay from the finish line. We have Sam Hall out front, Puff in second, speedballing it up. I'll tell you, Speedball Herman may not be the fastest, but he, folks, drives an extremely straight line. Oh, I was so caught up in that race, I did not even see Strike. He did not even finish in that race. All right, we got Puff with 16. Sam Hall takes the victory and comes in second with 15 points. Speedball Herman bringing up third place. At this point, Strike may be out of it unless he turns it around here, adds some nitrous oxide to that Gran Torino Sport. Oh, nope, no, he didn't add nitrous. He forgot to hit the nitrous button, and he just crashed over the lane 1. He might have added super glue to his engine instead of nitrous, causing him to go slower. Let's take a look at that. He right there will freeze frame it, did not make that jump. He lands, and the race is over for him. And it looks like we have Sam Hall out in front, Puff right by his side. Speedball catches Sam Hall for a moment there, but Sam Hall does have the inside lane. But again, Puff in lane 2 is the fastest lane, and he is quick, ladies and gentlemen. And there's Speedball Herman, Mr. Consistent, let's call him. Speedball Consistent Herman. Going slow and not slow, he's fast. Fast and steady and super duper straight. If there was a contest that was don't touch the walls, Speedball Herman might win that contest. And folks, this is maybe the first time we've ever seen a crash like this where the car is balancing perfectly on the track. Strike, you just set a record for the first person who's not made that first jump and the first person to stay suspended on the track. Congratulations, you win nothing. Back to the racing here. As you can see, there is a bobcat skid steer in the background. There is some slight construction going on in that portion of the track. AKA Hobby Lobby was out of the dirt that I'm buying for up there, and I went back and it's still not in stock, so I might have to order it online. That is why we got a skid steer, to make it look like the track is under construction, so it didn't look incomplete. Sorry, not sorry. That skid steer is freaking cool. All right, let's rewind that here and see the air that Sam Hall got. He was shooken up a little bit from that air, slowed down through the 360 here. And oh, folks, there we see Strike making his way up the hill and through the 360s. Puff out in front. Puff takes the win by a landslide. It looks like Speedball Herman in second, and that was probably because Sam Hall stumbled so much over that second jump and up the hill. It gave opportunity to Speedball Herman to move and take some extra points. All right, 24 for Puff. Sam Hall right behind with 20, folks. If Puff DNFs and Sam Hall takes us, there will be a tie, but we will see if that happens. Puff has not DNF'd yet, so we will see what happens. Speedball in the fast lane. Strike at this point, he is out of it. Puff out front, followed by Sam Hall and Speedball Herman. Just like the last time they were in this lane, Speedball purges, pulls out in front a little bit, but he has to go over that lane 2 bridge, and Sam Hall is able to take the victory. Now, folks, we saw something on this track that may have slowed Strike down just a little bit. Let's take a look at this. In lane 1, we have, it looks to be a bolt from someone's car. We don't know where that came from, but we'll zoom in here, and we see a bolt laying in the track, and we'll follow this bolt, and this may have been the cause of Speedball Herman going slow. Well, maybe just slower. He's been pretty slow. But that bolt launches all the way up through 360. Strike is pushing it, and you see it right there. It's still in front of his car. He's pushing that bolt that is larger than life through that 360, but somehow manages to finish the race. We were going to go back. We're going to go back into our footage, back in time, and see where that bolt came from, who's missing parts of their car, and what is going on. Is it a ghost? Is it... Oh, Puff is in that lane in this last race, race 7. There we zoom in, we see from the undercarriage of Puff's car, a ginormous bolt falls out, but yet Puff is able to finish this race. And as you know, Puff finished race 8 as well. Here we are rewatching that race in real time as you see the bolt flying out of the back of Puff's car. And he does finish race 8, but his crew is on the job fixing that car, finding out where that bolt came from. And by that I mean, Puff, check your DMs. I'm going to have to reach out to you because I'm going to screw that bolt back in for you so your car can continue in this race. These little miniature people aren't fixing a car. Who are we kidding? And that, folks, is the conclusion of Group 3, Round 1. Puff in the Supra moves on, and Sam Hall in the Ford Mustang moves on. Welcome back to Tiny Track Cars, where today's race is all about one legend, Brian O'Connor's silver Skyline. Not just one, but 4 of them. That's right, 4 identical beasts, 4 separate entries, 1 goal, domination. This is Brian's R34 versus everybody. 16 Fast and the Furious cars will enter this tournament. Each group starts with 1 of Brian's Skylines, but with only 2 cars advancing in each group, not every R34 is guaranteed a second chance. Will one of them have the speed to win it all, or will the rest of the Fast and the Furious crew prove to be too much, even for a Skyline with 4 lives? Let's light it up. The Fast and the Furious showdown starts now. In group number 1, we have an R34 Skyline, a Supra, an Eclipse, and a Honda S2000 driven by Johnny Tran himself. We head to the start line. We have a 4-car start here. We're going to rotate 1 position clockwise each and every race, so every car has the opportunity of the pole position. Brian in the R34 out front over the jump first. Brian in the Eclipse right behind him. Well, for this instance, let's just call it the Eclipse and the R34 Skyline, so we don't think that Brian is driving multiple cars at once, because we all know that's not safe. Down across the finish line to go, the Eclipse and the Skyline are very, very close to each other, but Brian's Skyline does pull out a win in race number 1 and takes the early lead with 5 points. They rotate 1 position clockwise. The scoring system is 5 for first, 3 for second, 2 for third, and 1 for 4th place. And if you fly off the track and do not finish, well, folks, then you get no points. If you land on your hood and you make it all the way down the track on your roof, you still get points. Only if you can make it down the track. Looks like the Mitsubishi Eclipse is going to do that right now. He waxed his roof. Good job. You read the instruction manual on Tiny Track Car's open circuit and how to succeed if you land on your roof. We'll see if he makes it. Oh no! Didn't put enough wax on that. Might want to try a different brand next time. Maybe Meguiar's will work out next time for you. This video is not sponsored by Meguiar's, but you know what? Maybe it could be one day. The Eclipse moves into the inside lane with the S2000 on the outside. S2000 is unable to take advantage of that pole position, and the Eclipse and the R34 take 1-2 spots. Down across the second jump they go. The Eclipse out in front early, and across the finish line for 5 more points for the Mitsubishi Eclipse. Brian's R34 Skyline takes second and is out front with 13 points, with the Eclipse right behind with 8. S2000 behind him with 7, and not looking so good for Slapjack in that Toyota Supra. The Supra's chance at the pole position, that outside lane just happens to be slightly faster, and we do call that the pole position. Over the big jump they go. The R34 hits the Supra in the back, spins him sideways, and then makes a pass on him. What an epic move there by Brian's R34. The S2000 is reversed. The Eclipse takes advantage on the inside. What a move. Over the jump he goes, takes the outside, trying to block, and the Eclipse takes the inside. What a great move down into the straightaway. Here comes the Eclipse, S2000, R34, and the Supra in last place again. If my calculations are right, yes they are, the R34 will move on and the Mitsubishi Eclipse will move on. That is one R34 moving on in the tournament. Now we'll see who's in the next group to pair up with the second Brian's R34 Skyline. It's Han in the S15 Silvia. Next up we have Jesse in his beautiful white Jetta. And last but not least, the Yenko Camaro, who's going to take this group and move on to round number 2 with Brian's Skyline number 1 and the Mitsubishi Eclipse. They're out of there for race number 1. It's Han who takes the early lead. Brian's R34 and Jesse falling behind, but they have the inside on this turn. Over the jump they go. The R34 is just ahead of the Camaro a little bit, and the Camaro lands a little rough, bounces his butt end right up over his front end, and he is on his roof. Will he be able to make it down the track on his roof? We find out. But it's Han on the S15 sliding his way down to the last turn and across the finish line jump. He takes 5 points in the first race. Brian's R34 takes second. Here comes the Volkswagen Jetta, and it looks like the Camaro won't have enough momentum to slide his way down the track and across the finish line. Usually those cars do not have enough momentum if they're on their own, but if someone's behind them and they get pushed a little bit, sometimes they can make it down across the finish line on their roofs. The roof. Whoa, speaking of on fire, Brian's R34 is absolutely flying out there. Over the jump he goes, and across the second jump, heading towards the third, he is out front, Han right behind. 1-2 for Han and the Skyline again, 3-4 for the Jetta and the Camaro. Yenko Camaro puts some points on the board, but it's the S2000, the Han Silvia and the Skyline who are out front, tied for first place. Camaro out of nowhere gets a little boost, too fast into the turn he goes. And whoa, he lands upside down in the opposite lane. He holds up the Jetta and the Skyline. It's Han way out in front. Can anyone get by the Camaro here? They pile into the turn. They're getting pushed down the track. Jesse makes it by on the inside. We already said we're not using names. That's the Jetta, the Volkswagen Jetta. Gets by on the inside. Will the Skyline be able to get by, or will he get held up by the Camaro on his roof? We find out right now in the last turn. It looks like he's going to get by on the outside. Brian and Skyline does get by, and the Camaro is fast enough to get himself across the finish line and earn 1 more point. But with 1 race left, it's Han's S15 and the R34 Skyline out front in points. And speaking of that, those 2 faster cars take the outside lane, and now they have the inside. Across the jump they go. The Camaro again rolls himself over, not so good in that jump. Higher center of gravity, skinnier wheelbase, not the best for handling turns and jumps. Usually those things like to go fast in a straight line and not necessarily turn at all or jump at all. And we're finding out that's the reason. Can't keep the tires on the ground. And winning 3 out of the 4 races, the S15 Silvia will move on. And we have another R34 Skyline moving on. In the next round over there, we have 2 R34 Skylines. This is a pretty unique Skyline here, folks. We opened this package up, and there just was no tampo on the left-hand side of the car. The right-hand side does have it. That was an R34 Skyline Air in the package, and I couldn't even see it because it was faced backwards in the blister. In this group, we have an Evo. We have another S2000, which is pink this time, driven by Suki. And we have DK's Nissan 350Z Drift King. They're out of there. The Evo pulls ahead just a little bit, but here comes Brian's Skyline into the inside turn. Suki, the S2000, and Brian take the early lead in this race, but still anyone's game back there in the back. Brian's Skyline, you see the tampo on the side. The other one, it doesn't have it, which has actually worked out very well because when you're trying to film 4 different Skylines and keep track of which one's which, it's good there's a little bit of a variation between the two for keeping track of points and which one's which, so you don't mix them up. So, it was a happy surprise. Brian moves over to the inside lane. S2000 in the far lane. S2000 is going to hit the jump first. Speaking of hitting the jump, Brian hits it and spins upside down. That's not so good for the Skyline number 3. 2 Skylines have made it to the next round. Will Skyline number 3 with no tampo on the left-hand side make it? He's able to wax the hood enough to make himself all the way down the track. Seems like on his own. Good for him. He holds on to 3 points there in race number 2. They rotate 1 position. Brian's R34 moves to the back lane. It's the 350Z's chance at the pole position, but will he be fast enough to get ahead of the S2000 and the Skyline? No, he's not. He's holding up the Evo. And oh no, Brian's R34 is on his roof again, getting pushed by the 350Z down across the track. Is he going to be able to put... Oh, he gets past. Is he going to be able to cross the finish line, though? That's the most important part. Can he get some points on the board? The 350Z passes on the inside. Here comes the Evo. The Evo have enough to catch up to the Skyline. S2000 across the finish line first. Here comes the Evo. Not enough. Brian is able to hold on to 3rd place position and collect 2 more points, holding on to 2nd place overall in this group, going into the last race. And back to the starting grid we head for race number 4. The 2 points leaders are in the back of the pack behind the 350Z and the Evo. Down to the jump they go. The Skyline and the Evo get ahead just a little bit. Suki's S2000 falling back, but it looks like she got by DK back there in the 350Z. Down across the finish line, it's a win for the Evo, and a close battle between Suki and Brian across the finish line. We'll slow it down for you and see who wins. It's Brian in the tempo-less R34 that gets 2nd place and 3 points. And moving on with 13 points is Brian's R34 and the pink S2000 driven by Suki herself. Now, folks, we have 3 R34s in round number 2. How many of these R34s will make it to the finals? We will find out shortly. First, we have group number 4 and yet another R34. This time racing an RX-7, driven by Dom, maybe. We don't know. And a Mustang, driven by Sean Boswell. And then a Chevy Nova, driven by Dom again. Maybe. We're not. No drivers, folks. These are diecast cars. They're just gravity-fed cars going to the track. There's no way humans can fit inside these cars, let alone the steering wheels don't work. The tires stay straight, no matter what. Believe it or not, this is not real motorsports racing. However, we do love motorsports here. Drop a comment if you're a motorsports fan in the comments, because that's where you comment. R34 across the finish line for 1st place, and the Nova for 2nd. The Mustang up on the curb is broken down on the side of the road, like most Mustangs are. Eventually. Not when they're new, but they get there eventually. R34 slides to the inside. The Mustang on the outside, getting pushed by the Nova. Huge air by the Skyline. Good thing we have protector fences for that section of the track, because that's right about where people would fly off if they missed the jump just a little bit. Down into the last turn they go. It's Brian's R34 Skyline taking 5 points in this race. Nova for 2nd, RX-7 for 3rd, and the Mustang kind of making his way down across the track for 4th place, earning his 1st point in group number 4. Skyline out front looking good with 10 points. Right behind is the Nova. The Nova moves to the pole position. Brian moves to the back right position, which is the worst position to be in. That's not where you want to be, Brian. You're going to have to pass the Mustang. Nova over the jump first. Smooth landing. Most muscle cars we see in this track are high, skinny wheelbase, but that one, folks, has a metal base on it and has a lowering kit on it, which allows it to have a little bit better handling here on the Tiny Track Cars open circuit, and it's proving to be beneficial for him. So just a little tip for you guys. If you're gonna make turns in an open circuit race, you do not want a high center of gravity, believe it or not. Stock muscle cars, not the best for turns. Over the jump they go, the RX-7 out front, Nova right behind, and oh no, the R34 spins over on his roof. Can the Mustang get by and maybe earn some points? Who knows? Looks like he's doing pretty bad back there. Down across the finish line, it's a Chevy win. Woo, Chevy, yeah, baby. And then we have the rest of the pack trickling in. It looks like lots of people are getting held up. RX-7 across the finish line. Mustang does not make it across the finish line, and neither does the R34, but with enough points, the R34 does move on with the Chevy Nova. On this side of the bracket, we have one R34, an S2000, a second R34, which is Brian's R34 number 4, and a Chevy Nova. Each and every one of Brian's R34s made it into round number 2. Can they make it into the finals? We find out right now. 2 cars will move on in this group, so Brian has a 50-50 chance of having at least one car in the finals, but he might even have 2 cars in the finals. We'll find out right now. The Eclipse and the Sylvia S15 will be standing in their way. Eclipse spins around backwards. Whoa! We almost had an accident there at the finish line, but luckily no fatalities here at the open circuit right now. Luckily, everyone has been behaving pretty well. We almost have had, so far, we've had a no incident event. No one's been injured at the finish line, and we like to keep it that way, folks. We like to see a safe racing environment here for our drivers and our guests. And if we go one full tournament with no incidents, we'd be very happy. Han in the S15 making an epic move on the inside of Brian car number 1. Brian car number 2 right behind with that hood stripes there and the lighter tampo across the side. He's trying to make a move on Brian car number 1. On the inside he goes, almost tries to make the pass. S15 down across the finish line for first place. R34, then Eclipse. Yeah, buddy. This one's going to be a tight one, folks. These cars are equally matched, and anyone can move on to the finals. Into race number 3, the R34s are kitty cornered, diagonal across from each other, but almost flipping over. I thought the R34 was going to have the jump, lead in the jump, but the S15 takes the lead. That S15 is going to be a contender in this tournament. We know Han is super fast. Down across the finish line, it looks like Han's going to take the win. One R34, the Eclipse, and the second R34 across the finish line. That was R34 number 1 across the finish line. Out front with 11 points, it's Han, and the first R34 with 9 points. Second R34 not looking so good. It looks like we might only have one R34 joining the finals here, but it all depends on this race right here and where Han places versus the Skylines. The Eclipse not looking so good out there in heat number 1 and round number 1. He looked good, but not so good when he gets compared to these faster cars here in round number 2. Down across the finish line, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yet still another no casualty event. Woo! We are looking good. And R34 number 3 pulls it out of nowhere, and he will move on with Han's S15 to the finals. Who will join him on the right-hand side of the bracket? We have an R34, a S2000, another R34, and a Chevy Nova. Will we see 3 R34s in the finals? We find out right now. There's only one S2000 and one Nova standing in the way. S2000 out front early. R34 next. Oh, the Tampa-less R34 spins around. That's R34 number 3. On R34 number 4 makes the epic pass on the outside. Watch this move again. Drifting around, gets hit just a little bit there, and pushes his way by. Oh, S2000's on her roof. Not sure what happened there, but who's going to be able to get by? The Nova trying to make a pass on the outside by the R34. Can he make it by? R34 playing defense. Across the finish, and they go. Wow, that was a close finish. It looks like R34 first, R34 second, Nova third, and the S2000, who was on her roof, was able to cross the finish line for 1 point, but lost a lot of positions in the meantime because she was out front in the pole position. Down over the jump they go. R34 number 4. Oh, crashes into the gate. Gets hit by another R34. Here comes a pile up from the rest of the pack. He's able to recover. What a great recovery. Look at that. On his roof. Spins around backwards. Get hit by another car. And he's back on the track and down there in reverse. And gets hit by the Nova. And the R34 that wrecked is now back in first place, folks. In reverse. What kind of crazy move is that? The Chevy Nova slides into second place. Now he's up on his roof. Now he's on his hood again. Oh my gosh, what is happening out there, folks? Watch this move. Can't see in reverse, hits a light post, spins around. The Nova spins backwards. The other R34 makes the pass on the outside and across the finish line they go. Nova, R34, and then across the finish line, we freeze frame it here, slow it down for you. It looks like Brian is able to hold off Suki across the finish line, and holy cannoli, what an action-packed race. From a flip over on the jump to a driving off the track, flip over, collision, and then everyone manages to finish the race. What an amazing race. The design of this open circuit and the consistency for it's a pretty safe bet you're gonna finish. The only time you don't finish is if you do flip off the track on the dual lane section, and you know what? Sometimes, oh no! That just ruined our fatality incidentless event, folks. One cameraman down. We just lost one amazing cameraman. Now, how are we gonna document the finishes? There's only 5 camera people left. Ben Flatten's brother and the rest of the crew down there. Our condolences to the man who just got struck by the car. I hope he's okay. The medical crew will have to take care of him. S2000 spinning around backwards and spinning around again. That's not how you want to win a race. It's fancy, it looks cool, but that's not how you win. But somehow she held it off with 13 points. The R34 and the Nova moving on. R34 number 3 and the S2000 not making it into the finals, folks. And we have 2 of Brian's R34s into the final round. And yet, in the finals, Brian's R34 has a 50-50 chance at winning the whole darn tournament. The only 2 cars standing in the way are Han's S15 and that Chevy Nova. But those 2 cars aren't looking so good. It's Skyline 1-2 over the jump. They're going to work together. All as they don't care who wins, as long as an R34 wins this entire tournament. What an amazing pass there. That's Skyline number 1 passing Skyline number 2, or I don't know the numbers anymore. Oh, but he spins over, flips over on his roof across the finish line. Here comes Han, and here comes the Nova for 3 and 4. Out front early, it's Skyline number 4, I think. It's Skyline number 2 and Skyline number 4 in this event. Just to clear that up, I think. I'll let you know when we see the bracket. Skyline's 1-2 over the jump again. The darker Tampa one with no hood stripes out front, and the lighter Tampa one in second. Skylines are going to take 1-2 across the finish line again, it looks like. Second Skyline getting a little bit tail whippy there, but is able to hold on to it across the finish line. The Nova and the S15 cross for 3rd and 4th again. That S15 is looked good thus far in the tournament, but not looking so good here in the finals. I'm not sure what might have happened to him, but he maybe just bad positioning here. Maybe he's stuck behind the Nova. I'm not sure what happened. Maybe he's just afraid of racing against 2 Skylines. Skylines battling again out front. They might take 1-2 again, but here comes a Nova trying to make a difference, trying to make a pass, pushing his way by the R34, and does make the pass right at the finish line. What an amazing pass by the Chevy Nova there, and there's the S15 coming across the finish line for 1 point. The Nova trying to make a difference, but it might be a little bit too late. That R34 is way out in front in points, but they are in the back of the pack. The Nova in a good position here to put some points on the board, and so is the Silvia S15. Whoa, Silvia slides off the track a little bit, but is able to recover. Now the Nova's on his roof. Now the R34 is backwards. Han and the second R34 make a pass on the first R34 right there on the outside. What an amazing pass. Now Brian's trying to make a pass on the inside of Han. Falls in right behind. Who's going to be able to get by the Nova? Here comes Brian on the outside, making a pass on the S15. What an amazing pass. He's going to go from 4th to 1st, maybe. No, the Nova across the finish line for 1st. What an amazing battle there between those cars. And yes, we have it, folks. Brian's R34 does take the win finally in a Fast and the Furious tournament. Woohoo! We're so excited to see that. Congratulations to the R34. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back on the racetrack with the Fast and the Furious Rally Tournament, gearing up for Round 1, Group 5. Brace yourselves because this group is less like a classic car meetup and more like a caffeine-infused roller coaster ride. Leading the pack, we have Ra Sun God, who, contrary to popular belief, does not actually control the sun, but he sure knows how to light up the track with that scorching blue Nissan Skyline R34. Here's to hoping the sun god of speed is on his side today. Then we've got the Crazy Canuck. Some say he's fueled by maple syrup and sheer willpower, while others claim it's the roar of his Dodge Charger Hellcat. We're just hoping he can dodge the competition and drive straight to victory. Not far behind is Rage. With a name that intense, you'd expect fireworks, and boy, does he bring them. Revving up in a shiny silver Nissan Skyline R34, we're all waiting to see if his driving is as explosive as his name. And lastly, but not leastly, we have Feral Patrick. Don't be deceived by the name. He's not wild, just extremely passionate. And his 1974 Escort RS 1600 in striking blue? Come on, that wild beast is just waiting to be unleashed on the asphalt jungle. So strap in, folks. We're about to witness DIECAST history in the making. And remember, keep your arms and your expectations inside the vehicle at all times. It's time to drop the clutch and floor it. The 10-second board is out. We will see Nitro followed by Send It, and they will be out of there. It looks like the nimble Escort gets the early jump. Will he be able to hold it out as Rage follows him right behind? Rage catching up as they go into the final merger. Feral Patrick crashes and rolls, and just by inches, Ra Sun God is able to beat him out to the finish line. Here, let's slow it down here. That Escort is quick, it is nimble, it is fast off the line, but Rage was able to catch him, Feral Patrick, in the 360. Feral Patrick panicked, hit the gas, flew off the track, launched upside down, rolled, spun around backwards, and then got passed by Ra Sun God at the finish line. As we switch to the finish line cam, we'll watch that crash again. There's Feral Patrick upside down. Then you see Ra Sun God coming in, hits a little bump there, pops across the finish line by about 3/4 length of a Skyline. And we have no Crazy Canuck. There's Crazy Canuck stuck in the 360. I did not see what happened to him. We'll have to keep a closer eye on that crazy mother Canucker. All right, Rage with 4 points out in front. Feral Patrick in lane 1. Ra Sun God in lane 2. Will Ra Sun God, who seemed to be a little bit slower, be able to take advantage of this lane position here? Huge error by Feral Patrick as they go up into the 360. It looks like Crazy Canuck falls off again. Feral Patrick out front. Feral Patrick off the track again. Crashes and smashes underneath that overpass, allowing Rage and Ra Sun God to get some more points. There we have it there. Feral Patrick looks like he's out front as they go into 360. He is just carrying too much speed. That Ford Escort is super duper fast. He just has to learn how to keep it on the track. And do not take a play out of the Uncle Elvis playbook. That will not get you very far. That'll get you approximately right where you are or closer to the Porsche dealership, upside down on your lid. There you see Feral Patrick underneath the track. We'll have to get the track crew out there and get him cleaned up. All right, Road Rage, 2 wins. And by Road Rage, I mean Rage driving for Road Rage Racing. Again, a DNF for Crazy Canuck. He's going to have to see if there's anything going on with that Dodge Charger Hellcat. As we're out of there for race 3, it looks like Feral Patrick and the Escort is out front again. Will he be able to hold on to it? He's on his lid, and he, my friends, he finishes the race in first place on his lid. Let's slow that down and watch it again here. You see Crazy Canuck slowing down extremely fast. It looks like that Hellcat may be a little too wide. There you see Feral Patrick up on 2 wheels. He's fast, but he's squirrely. going back to the Crazy Canuck thing, it seems like Crazy Canuck car might just be a little bit too wide for this track and is rubbing in all the wrong ways. Folks, we want to be rubbed in all the right ways, but he's rubbing all the wrong ways. Those Canadians just hit a little different, you know what I'm saying? Congratulations on that one to Farrell Patrick as he slides. He's supposed to be in lane 2 overpass. He actually took a shortcut. He flew off of lane 2, which is the fast lane. Instead of taking the overpass, he slid across the jump to the finish line. That man just took a shortcut. All right, we're back at the starting line for race 4. Rage in the fast lane, Crazy Canuck in lane 1, followed by the other blue car looking so pretty. Escort way out in front early. Will he be able to hold on to it? He's up on 2 wheels and he smashes the landing of that jump. And I don't know where he's at. He does not recover from that. Rage takes the win. Raw Sun God takes second. And once again, no Crazy Canuck as we slow that down for you here. Look at that Escort on its 2 wheels. He has to let off, and because he let off, he loses speed, cases the jump, almost comes in contact with both of the Skylines. Rage barely makes it underneath him, and Raw Sun God barely made it to the side of him. That Escort was all over the track. And then we'll fast forward here to the finish here, and we'll see Rage walking away with it with no contenders at all, light years ahead of everybody. Raw Sun God is going to be the Mr. Consistent of this group, I believe. He comes across the finish line as we go back and see how that Escort got to that position when he cased the jump. I'm not sure what happened, how he rolled over to that direction. That footage was lost, stolen from the vaults of images and videos from Tiny Track Cars. They're back at the line. Crazy Canuck in the fast lane. Will he be able to make it up and over the hill to the 360? It looks like he's barely making it up and over the first. There he is! There he is! There he's back. Looks like he was unable to make that. Farrell Patrick off the track again and pulls another maneuver on his hood. We'll slow that down for you here. It looks like a battle between Rage and Farrell Patrick. Rage on the inside. There is Crazy Canuck finally making it up into the 360. Does he make it in? It looks like he stops at the top of the hill. Maybe rolls backwards. There's Farrell Patrick again flying off the lane, bouncing off another lane's wall, and landing in the finish line to take second place. Raw Sun God bringing up third place again. We'll take a look at that scoreboard here. We have Raw Sun God with 13, Rage with 19, Farrell Patrick with 9. Seems like Rage is walking away with this one. Crazy Canuck is out of it, I believe, at this point. It is physically impossible for him to come back and win. Those 4 cars are out of there for race 6. Let's see what exciting things we can drum up in this one. It looks like Rage and Farrell Patrick are battling, and then Farrell Patrick crashes. Rage bounces off of him and does the little bunny scoot across the finish line. Holy cannoli, I've never seen anything like that in Rainier Rallycross history. Let's slow it down for you and see that again. We're going to be able to watch that a few times because that, friends, is crazy. Not as crazy as the Crazy Canuck, but that was crazy. Let's watch this. Farrell Patrick flies off of the track, cases the landing of that jump. There you see Rage bouncing off of him, jumping off of his hood, launching in the air, landing on that rear spoiler, and doing a little scoot across the finish line like a dog dragging his butt across the ground after he poops and there's still poop attached to his butt. All right, let's take a look at that from the finish line cam. There you see the Skyline bouncing off the Escort, landing on that rear spoiler. He gets a little bump from Raw Sun God, who keeps the tail stand going here. We'll watch that again from zoomed out. Man, I've never seen anything like this in Rainier Rallycross history. And despite all that, Rage is still able to set it down and finish in first place, just barely beating Raw Sun God. And we cut to the helicopter cam to see Farrell Patrick in between the finish line jump area. He will be needing some assistance getting out of there. All right, folks, it looks like at this point it's going to be Raw Sun God and Rage moving on, but we're going to entertain you with 2 more amazing races here at Rainier Rallycross. Voice change. Yes, they're out of there. Looks like Farrell Patrick again. That Escort is fast, and Farrell Patrick again. And oh my gosh, he just pulled the Disaster Jack. Almost doing the exact same thing as Disaster Jack did in Group 4, the last video. We'll take a look at that again. Again, we have a crazy Canuck that can hardly make it up the hill. Pharaoh Patrick way out front, loses control in that finish line section, slides up on his sides, up on his tires, lands on his roof. I don't give Pharaoh Patrick as many style points as Disaster Jack got because Disaster Jack was up on his wheels for longer and then finally flipped to his roof. But Pharaoh Patrick, congratulations. You get a 2 out of 2.7 on the style points for that run. Rage walking away with it for 26 points, and to top it all off, Rage will be in the fast lane 2. They're out of there. Race 8. Pharaoh Patrick again putting a hurt on these Skylines as that old Ford shows him how it's done and flies off the track one last time, ending up in the gully of that jump. Man, if Pharaoh Patrick could have kept this car, oh, there you see Crazy Canuck not making that jump. We'll go back to that in a second. Pharaoh Patrick, if he could have kept this car on the track, he probably would have been one of the top contenders in this tournament. That Escort is one of my favorite castings, and I had high hopes for it, but unfortunately, just a little too unstable for the Rainy Rallycross track as we take a look at that from the finish line cam. Down, down, down goes Pharaoh Patrick, and Mr. Consistent coming across the finish line, picking up 3 more points. And there we have the Crazy Canuck upside down, inside out, and living the Vida Loca. All right, congratulations to Raw Sun God and Rage in those beautiful R34 Skylines for moving on to the next round. Crazy Canuck, thank you. Thank you for joining us. Pharaoh Patrick, your car is amazing, you're amazing, and better luck next time. What's up, Tiny Track crew? We are back for a DIECAST Racing Fast and the Furious event right here at the Tiny Track Cars Open Circuit. It is the new Blood Showdown. We have Hector's Civic and Ja Rule's Integra. First up in group number 1, we have Brian's R34, followed by DK himself, Drift King, that Nissan 350Z. And then we have a beautiful Acura Integra, driven by Ja Rule, aka Edwin. And last but not least, ooh, that's a beautiful Supra. Beautiful white Celebration Supra in this group. Who is gonna take group number 1 and move on to the next round right here in the New Bloods tournament? We have a new track layout right here, folks. It gets swervy, it gets swervy, and over the jump they go. Brian's R34 Skyline is out front early, leading the pack into that new turn cam. We see Brian absolutely flying out there. Down into the final 180, he goes over this cross jump and lands it smooth. Brian takes 5 points in race number 1. And down across the finish line, Edwin takes second place right in front of DK's eyes. And here comes the Supra flipping over, landing on his hood and sliding to a screeching halt across the finish line. We're gonna take a closer look at this pass by Edwin in the Integra right at the finish line to claim 3 points in race number 1. 2 of these cars will move on to the next round. 2 of them will be eliminated. The point system here is 5, 3, 2, 1, if you don't know, and these cars rotate 1 position clockwise every single time. Let me ask you something. Do you have a favorite Fast and the Furious car? If you wanted to maybe, pick your favorite car and earn some points and climb the leaderboard, you can do that at our Fantasy DIECAST Racing League. It's all happening at fantasy.tinytrackcars.com, where each week you get to pick your car and earn points. And oh my gosh, Edwin flies off the track. The Integra murders many people, I think. I'm not sure if they're alive or dead, but I will tell you that is, oh my gosh, that's 6 or 7 people. You have to back up. I don't even think that safety fence would have helped if we put it there. He jumps so high up and over the safety fence. We hear that splat. There's blood everywhere, but it looks like his car is in good shape. He's going to head back to the start line despite getting 0 points after that DNF. And what I was saying was, if you aren't playing in their Fantasy DIECAST Racing League, head to fantasy.tinytrackcars.com and get yourself signed up where you can earn points and climb the leaderboard. And you can also invite your friends who will join the leaderboard, and you'll have your own friends leaderboard where you can compete against them and see who can make the better picks each and every week. Brian's R34 Skyline doing a grind across the top of that turn. Fancy moves, but it's the Integra out in front. Here comes Brian on the outside. High speed turn on the outside. Let's watch that again. Holy cannoli, look at that speed and skill driving right in front of the Integra. Down across the finish line he goes. Huge air, crossing the finish line and taking 5 more points. The Integra cases the jump. The Supra cases the jump, and the 350Z lands it perfect. Let's watch that again. The Supra bounces, flips upside down off the spoon building there, but does cross the finish line for second place. We have one more race. Brian's moving on in the Skyline, but it's anyone's game for that last spot, which is spot number 2 in group number 1. Brian's in the back left. Can he do a perfect 5-5-5-5? A flawless victory. 4 wins in a row, which is 5 points each, which is 5 times 4 is 20. If I have that many fingers, I would be able to count it. But nope, it's DK and the 350Z absolutely flying out there. Down across the finish line he goes, barely beats Brian. Brian launches off of his car right towards the camera. What a crazy view we saw there. That will probably secure the spot for DK in round number 2. He will move on with 10 points, and Brian will move on with 18 points. Edwin and the Integra and the white Supra will go home. Amazing performance by Brian in the R34. He'll move on. We know that is a crowd favorite. He plays pretty well in our Decide Your Ride qualifying video, and a lot of people at the Fantasy League have voted for that R34. We headed into race number 2, and another crowd favorite is Brian's Supra, and then Han in the S15, Sylvia, Jesse in the Volkswagen Jetta. We've seen Jesse plenty of times. We hope he's good today. And then we have a Dodge Charger Daytona, looking good and beautiful, maroonish, reddish, with that big old wang in the back. All right, they're headed to the grid, and they're out of there for race number 1. It's Han in the S15 on the inside, but Brian pulls ahead just slightly as ahead of the jump. Han leads by a bumper as they go over the jump. Han in front of Brian. Down into the turn they go. What an epic battle there we have between Han and Brian. Here comes Brian into the last stretch. Can he take down Han? Han across the finish line, S15 for first place, and does cross the plane despite flying almost off the track. Here comes the Dodge Daytona, and then Jesse across the finish line, bouncing off that curb, taking 1 point in race number 1. We waste no time, and we head right back to the starting line grid. They're going to rotate 1 position clockwise. It's Jesse in the front left and Brian in the front right in the Supra, getting pushed by the Dodge Daytona and Han in the S15. Oh, Jesse over the curb. He spins around. He's able to hold on to it, but he's blocking the Dodge Daytona. Jesse in reverse, but out front, it's Brian sliding around, spinning him backwards. Han pushing his way through. Can Han get by the Supra? Han gets by on the outside. What a move there by Han on the inside. Brian tries to get the Supra spun back around. Han on the outside. Here comes Jesse catching up to the Supra. Here comes the Dodge Daytona. Anyone's game for second, folks, but it's Han out front in the S15 for first place. Down across the finish line he goes. What an amazing run by Han there. Across the finish line, we have the Supra and the Jetta. Absolutely. Did the Supra cross the finish line? I know the Supra did cross the finish line. We saw the back wing cross the finish line. Unfortunately, Dodge Daytona did not cross the finish line, and he gets 0 points. The next race, they're out of there. Now it's Jesse's turn in the front position. He is looking good, but it's the Dodge Daytona and the S15 Sylvia over the jump first. Dodge Daytona trying to hold on, but Han is right on his tail. Here comes Brian and Jesse in the back. Han right in the back of the Dodge Daytona into the last turn they go. Can the Daytona hold on to it? Daytona in the air. He crosses the finish line, makes the victory, and then, dang, Jesse does the same exact move as he did last race. And unfortunately, the Supra gets stuck right there between the jump and the landing ramp. Let's watch Jesse flip over backwards, upside down, almost lands in the finish line, stopped just like he did in the last race. And we do have a photographer down. I don't know if you guys saw that, but there's a photographer laying on his back. We should probably get a medical crew out there, but there's too much racing to be done. We're going to head back to the starting line and see Han out front, Brian chasing him down in the Supra. Han up on the curb there for a second, if you guys saw that. Through the turn we go. That's shaking and baking. Down into the, I don't even know what this turn is. It's over 180 degrees. But then into the 180 finish. Down Han across the finish line and takes the race. I don't know how, he had some speed, but he cased the jump. Supra makes a jump. Daytona makes a jump. Jesse does the same exact thing. Cases it with his back tires. Almost slips over. It's Han moving on. And we have a tie for second place between Brian Supra and Dom in the Charger Daytona. 500 and 1,000 billion. All right, it's a race-off, folks. Brian on the far side there over the jump first. He lands it. We've seen Brian in that Supra be much faster than that Dodge Daytona, but anything can happen. He slides his way into that turn, around the finish line he goes. Can he hold on to it and keep that baby on the track? He does. Across the finish line, he takes the win, and he will move on. I think we're just doing a one and done in this situation. Dodge Daytona parked at the finish line. Supra will move on. Honda and the S15 will move on. We have a Skyline, a 350Z, a Supra, and an S15 over there on the left-hand side. Let's meet the cars on the right-hand side of the bracket, at least group number 3. 4 more cars. It is Johnny Tran in the S2000, and then Leon in the R33 Skyline, and then we have a Nissan. That's a Subaru, you ding-dong. We have a Subaru WRX Integra, and then Hector, which is too slow to race, but he's in this race anyways. He's going to be run off with the money. Maybe he will run off with the money. We will find out right now, but he has to take down Johnny Tran, Leon, and a WRX STI first. Leon over the jump, flying out front in that R34. You saw the S2000 do a little bit of drift in that turn, but S2000 is no match for this R33 Skyline, who's absolutely cruising out there, slides across the finish line, down across the finish line for first place. S2000 for second. Here comes Hector holding it in for third, and then the WRX gets denied by the double, hits off that barrier, lands his way right back in between the jump and the landing, and will take a big fat goose egg in race number 1. They head back to the start line and they rotate positions. It's the WRX and the S2000 out in front. S2000 getting pushed by Leon, and the R33 Skyline over the jump they go. Is the S2000 going to be able to hold off that Skyline? Skyline on the inside. What a beautiful pass there by Leon in the R33. Han took the outside. Han? Who's Han? Han's in the last race. Johnny Tran took the outside. Leon took the inside. An amazing pass there. R33 will take 5 more points. S2000 will take 3 more points. Here comes Hector. And, Hector off the track. Hits the cameraman who finally got back up, and now he's back down and does not cross the finish line plane. He will get a 0-point finish for that. When we go, folks, if you're over the track and cross the finish line plane, it counts for the finish. But if you're off the track and do not cross that plane, then it is a DNF. So you got to keep that car on the track as you go over that finish line jump. It's tricky because you're flying and you know you want to win, but sometimes you just take off a little crooked. Into the second to last turn, dive bomb by Leon on the inside of the Civic hatchback, EG hatch. Down across the finish line, Leon takes race number 3. Here comes the Civic. Here comes WRX. And watch out with this S2000. Up and over. Alley-oop. Look out, everybody. Whoa. Everyone goes flying. And holy cannelli. Whoa. That is ugly, folks. And because it's ugly, we're going to show it to you again. That was almost perfectly executed. He looks like he did that on purpose. He was in last place. He was pissed off. He turned and jumped directly over that fence and clobbered the cameraman and the fans and everybody else in his way. That's not very sportsmanlike, Mr. S2000. Down over the jump they go for the last race of this group, and it's the R33 out front early again. That car is a metal-based Silver Series car. A little bit heavier than the rest of these, and it's showing out there today, folks. Looking good on the track. Down across the finish line, he takes first. Here comes the S2000. S2000 crosses for second. Look out, everybody! Here comes the Civic, and here comes the WRX. What a clustered truck at the finish line. There's no trucks in this race. There's 3 cars. There's no... What's a cluster car? Somehow Johnny Tran and the S2000 moves on. And then with a perfect 20, it's Leon in the R33 with a flawless victory. But not victory yet. He still has a lot of cars to take down if he wants to consider a win in this tournament. And folks, here we do. We have more cars coming at you. We have Dom in the RX-7. We have Brian in the Mitsubishi Lancer from Too Fast, Too Furious. And then we have the original Mitsubishi Eclipse. Brian is driving 2 cars, apparently. And then we have the Chevrolet Camaro. That's a villain car. If you haven't seen our Heroes versus Villains Fast and Furious race, head back in our feed and check that out. It was the good guys versus the bad guys. Again, if you aren't playing in our Fantasy DIECAST Racing League, head to fantasy.tinytrackcars.com and get signed up where you earn points every single week. You can go back every single day and claim your daily tokens. You can use tokens that you earn from making picks to buy virtual cars and deck out your garage and show off to your friends and family and your competitors in the DIECAST Racing League. Hundreds of people are already playing. What are you waiting for? Head to fantasy.tinytrackers.com. The link is in the video description. Below that link in the video description, you'll see the link to a company called SPOOLHEADS Racing. And SPOOLHEADS Racing has designed this track that we are racing on right here, right now. He makes custom 3D printed track. So if you would like a setup for your house, it doesn't have to be this big, it doesn't have to be this elaborate, but all this kit is modular. So you can buy pieces and you can add as you go. Head to spoolheads.com and use code TTC for 5% off. Get yourself a drag track, get yourself an open track, buy yourself a kit, or just buy some little pieces and start putting together a track for you. If you're an adult that likes diecast racing like me, or if you want to play with your kids, I have a small track for my kids as well. They run monster trucks and all sorts of little cars down the track. It's an absolute hoot for myself and my family. So spoolheads.com, 5% off with code TTC. We head into this group, race number 3. What kind of action is going on? I haven't even been following this. I've been talking about spoolheads the whole time. RX-7 on the inside of the Camaro, but it's Brian in the Eclipse out in front. Can Dom run him down in the RX-7? It's flash of green down across the finish line to go. Green, red, and then the other cars, some more green that's not as pretty of a green, and then kind of a pukey green, yellow color. We have all sorts of shades of yellowy green vomit diarrhea colors in this group. Back to the top they head, and it's race number 4. The faster cars are in the back. We know that Evo's fast, but it always seems to have a problem with center of gravity issues and keeping those tires on the ground. But this track is a little more technical and a little bit less big air, so we might be able to keep that thing on the track. Up into the jump he goes, down across the finish line. Evo, RX-7, Camaro, and Eclipse. Camaro barely holds on to it. By 1 point, it's the Evo who moves on and takes out the Eclipse, and the RX-7 joins him in the next round, 16 points and 11 points respectively. That left-hand side of the bracket is shaping up quite nice. We have an S2000, an R33, an RX-7, and a Lancer Evolution. And folks, we're gonna head right back to the left-hand side of the bracket. We have a Skyline, an R34, that is. We have a Supra, we have a 350Z, and we have a Nissan Silvia S15. Silvia S15 looks like he's getting held up by DK, which allows Brian in the R34 to put some space between him and the rest of the competition. Down across the finish line he goes. Brian takes the win. Here comes DK, almost taking out a photographer. Han almost taking out the same photographer. That's Ben Flatten's long-lost brother. We haven't named him yet. Stephen Flatten. Maybe Stephen Flatten is his name. Rest in peace, Ben Flatten. You're still buried at Rainier Rallycross, wherever that track lies. It's actually in a box. The coffin that Ben Flatten was buried in is in a box with the rest of the pieces from the Rainier Rallycross track that's been torn down, and will make an appearance again in diecast racing Tiny Track Cars history if and when we get a new space for Tiny Track Cars, which we're looking at actively. So thanks for the support here at Tiny Track Cars. As we grow the channel, we're going to expand the space and add more tracks. We're going to bring back Candy Mountain. We're going to bring back Rainier Rallycross. And all it's going to take is your support here to keep watching these darn videos, and I'll keep making them because I absolutely love diecast racing, and I appreciate you guys being here to watch. I usually say this about 15 to 20 minutes into the videos because the only people still watching are the diehards that love this channel, and I stop the commentary and just take a little bit of a moment to appreciate you guys for being here. So if you've already left, you didn't get to hear this, but if you're still here, that means you're probably a diehard, and I appreciate you. So thank you. Down across the finish line, Brian Supra. Is Brian driving 2 cars in this race? A Skyline and a Supra. And then DK comes across for 4th place, almost does a nose slide across the finish line. Brian in the Supra out front, Brian in the Skyline out front. Han and the S15 and DK are falling back. Left-hand side, we have the DK Mobile and the Han Mobile. Over the jump they go. It's Han out front, followed by the Supra. R34 is in the back. Is he going to be able to make his way through the pack and make some passes? We find out right now. On the inside of the 350Z, what an amazing pass by the R34. Can he pick off anybody else, even though I think he has clinched his spot in the finals? But we'll find out right now. Now Brian is after Brian. Skyline's after the Supra. Down into the finish line stretch he goes. He passes the Supra, makes another move, and then the DK makes a move on the Supra right at the finish line, spinning over, flipping over. It's Brian in the R34 moving on, and we have a tie between Han in the S15 and the Supra. Because they had the same exact scores, and we don't know who to give the lane advantage, you guys know what that means. It's an overtake advantage. If you watched our video last week, we had a 14 race off between two cars to take the podium. That was for the third place podium. But in this one, it's Han and the S15 out in front of the Supra, down across the finish line. He'll have his chance next race at passing the Supra. He'll start in the back. All this is going to take at this point is him to pass, and the Supra will be out of it, and Han and the S15 will move to the finals with Brian and the R34. Over the jump they go. Supra is in the air. S15's in the air. Supra sideways. It's not looking good for the Supra. S15 gets by on the inside. What an amazing view at that pass from that corner cam there. We have actually moved it for the next tournament. You'll see it on a different turn, but I do like those different angles at the track so you can kind of see the action that's going on here. Han on the S15 across the finish line. He wins the overtake challenge, and he'll move himself on to the next round with Brian in the R34. And what an amazing finals it's shaping up to be. We have a Nissan and a Nissan, a Silvia and a Skyline. Who is going to join them on the right-hand side of the bracket? We do have another Nissan in it, but we have also have a Honda and a Mitsubishi and a Mazda. This is an all-Japanese race here, folks. JDM, yeah, over the jump they go. On the inside, the S2000 tries to take the pass on the RX-7, but he spins out and gets passed by the Eclipse. That's not an Eclipse, made by the same person, but that is an Evo. Out front, it's Leon in the R33 Skyline holding off the RX-7, R37, RX-7, R37. Wow, we have an R32, R33, R30, R34, R35, that little thing in America that they call the Godzilla thing, the GTR Skyline. And then we have an R37. We have a G37 Infinity, which is kind of made by Nissan, but I don't think there's an R37 yet. When will the R37 come out? 2095. All right, shut up, announcer. Let's get into the racing. Leon in the R33 still out front in first place. RX-7 coming around behind. The Evo looks like he's trying to catch up to the RX-7. RX-7 up and over. Oh my gosh, Steven Flatten. Look out, my buddy, my dude. Oh, you just got flattened. You're going to end up like your brother in the casket, Ben. Oh my gosh, Ben, I miss you, Benny. Bring back Ben. Bring back Ben. In the comments, hashtag bring back Ben. Bring back Ben. Let me know if you want Ben Flatten, the famous photographer, to make a return to the channel. They're in perfect Eclipse fashion. He does spin over. We know that is a common move for that Eclipse. Leon launching the RX-7 down the track. RX-7 has too much speed. Down across the finish line. He hangs on to it, takes 5 points in this race. But Leon, the R33, takes second. S2000 takes third. And it's a DNF for the Eclipse. The Eclipse. Why do I keep saying the Eclipse? It's a Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution, y'all. That's the Evo. One's all-wheel drive, one's not. One I would own and one I wouldn't. I don't know if I'd ever buy Eclipse. Maybe like a first gen. Like the Talon, like the first gen Eclipse GSX. Maybe, but not any new Eclipse. No, thank you. Anyways, speaking of Eclipse, I don't see any of those on the road anymore. I see nobody driving those things. They've just fallen apart, rusted out, and they're gone. All right, moving on in race number and group number right-hand side of the bracket, it's the R33 and the S2000. Unfortunately, the RX-7 moves home. We have a pretty sweet battle between one Honda and 3 Nissans for the finals of the New Blood Showdown. Unfortunately, the New Bloods, Leon, well, not Leon. Leon's an OG. Hector and the Civic, which we know was just released by Hot Wheels, and Edwin and the Integra, they've both been eliminated from this competition. Whoa! Do you see that squirrel in the track? R34 just spins around. Watch this. Bam! He spins himself right back forward. What an amazing move there. Hits off the R33, but does not have enough speed to hold off the R33 in reverse gear. Reverse flying, absolutely screaming out there. And then it's Han across the finish line taking this race. R33 taking second, R34 taking third, and an S2000 coming in last. I'm not sure how the S2000 made it into the finals. He must have got a little lucky, even though I'm rooting for it, because you guys know me. if it's one thing I love, it's S2000s and Porsches. That's who I usually root for. Do they always win? Not even close. But somehow, Brian in the R34 always seems to have a pretty fast car right here at Tiny Track Cars. The R34 is just an absolute monster out in the track, and he is leading this race right behind the S2000, who gets passed by the R33 and passed by the S15. He's a double spin, spins out, doesn't know what happened to him. Down across the finish line, it's the R34 in reverse, R33 forward, R34, R33, and S15, and then S2000. There's too many R's and S's and 15s and numbers and 3s and 4s and 1s and 2s. 2 races are done. It's a tie out front between Brian and Han in the R34 and the S15. Don't count out Leon. He's in 3rd place, but he is out in front in this race. He starts in the front for the next 2 races. To the jump he goes. R34 is in the back. But can he make a move on Han? He's up top on his hood. R34 spins out. It's Leon out front. S2000 can't hold off Leon. I'm telling you, the S2000 is lighter than these cars. He's smaller than these cars, and he is just getting beat up out there. Poor Johnny Tran. He needs to get beat up anyways. Barely holding off the R34 is the S15 across the finish line. Leon moves to lead with 11 points right behind his S15. It's still anyone's game out there in the front between the R34, the S15, and the R33. But it's Leon in the R33 who's out front. Who's going to make it to the jump first? It's Brian and Han out front in the R33, but Leon squeaks in for the 2nd place right behind the right behind the S15. Now he's right on the S15's tail, pushing Han out of the way. Down across the finish line he goes, trying to make a move. It's Han across the finish line first, Leon for 2nd, Brian for 3rd, and Johnny Tran for 4th. And what does that mean for the points, folks? It's a tie. It could not have been tighter than this, folks. We have a tie between the R33 and the S15. Johnny Tran will take 4th place. Brian in the R34 will take 3rd place, but we have a race off for 1st and 2nd. And if you're playing in our DIECAST Fantasy League at fantasy.tinytrackcars.com, points are on the line here if you picked either of these cars to hit the podium. Both of them will hit the podium. They are 1-2. But we need to decide right here who is going to take the 1st place spot on the podium. And it looks like Leon in the R33 crosses the finish line first and will take the win. Nope, we're doing a 3-race challenge. Surprise! Here goes Leon on the outside, S15 on the inside. Who's going to make it to the jump first? Over the jump, it's Leon. Almost sliding into the inside is Han in the S15, but Leon surges forward. Down into the last turn he goes, and across the finish line he will take this best-of-3 tiebreaker and will win the Tiny Track Cars Fast and the Furious New Bloods tournament right here on the open circuit. Welcome, welcome, race fanatics and adrenaline junkies from around the globe. Buckle up, because you just clicked on the wildest ride on YouTube. This, my friends, is the Fast and the Furious tournament at the iconic Rainier Rallycross. Round 1, Group 2. Let's peel some rubber. Today we have quite the motley crew of drivers ready to turn dust into diamonds. First up, it's Papa P, Papa Pugsley, our streetwise guru, sitting pretty behind the wheel of his Nissan Skyline R33. Next up, we have the sophisticated Craigster Sr., who has decided to tame the wilds with a touch of class in his sleek Porsche 911 GT3. Can he make this luxury lion roar on the rally track? We soon shall find out. And next up, we have Bolo Brown driving a Ford F-150 Lightning that's clearly missing the Racer's Edge decals, though he insists that the real Racer's Edge is in the driver, not the decals. Those are some bold words from a bold driver. Let's see if his actions on the track can match his rhetoric. And finally, we have Uncle Elvis, which is our wild card entrant. He's rocking and rolling in an off-road Camaro with an extremely high center of gravity. It's an unorthodox choice, to say the least, but hey, it's not a rally without some wild stunts, right? There you have it, folks. 4 drivers, each with their own unique blend of boldness and insanity, ready to tackle this Rainier Rallycross track. Get ready for a thrill ride that will rev up your heart rate and leave you wanting more.
This is the Fast and the Furious Tournament, Round 1, Group 2. Stay tuned and keep those eyes glued to the screen, because trust me, you won't want to miss a single second of what you're about to see. The 10-second board is out, followed by Nitro, and then we send it. Here we go for race 1 of this Group 2. Looks like Craigster Sr. is far out in front. We do have a battle between the Lightning and the Camaro, and the Camaro is flying off the track, and he barrel rolls over the top of Papa Pugsley and into the Porsche dealership, hopefully causing no damage to his car or the Porsche dealership. Let's slow it down and take a look at what happened here. You see Bolo Brown and Uncle Elvis battling through that 360. As they come out, it looks like Bolo Brown has a slight lead. Uncle Elvis tries to come back, but carries too much speed. You see it right there, he's up on 2 wheels, and he comes to the other turn, and he's going extremely too fast, flying over the top of Papa Pugsley in that Nissan Skyline, landing at the Porsche dealership. Let's take a look at that from the finish line camera here. And while you may have been focusing on Uncle Elvis's massive crash, you might have missed this amazing finish between Bolo Brown and Papa Pugsley. Bolo Brown barely inches ahead of him in that Ford Lightning. There you see Uncle Elvis upside down at the Porsche dealership. We're going to have to get the maintenance crew in here and get that sign fixed along with that shrub that he launched off of the track. As you see the scores, we have Craigster Sr. who walked away with that one in that blue Porsche 911. We're back to the line for race 2. Uncle Elvis in lane 1, Papa Pugsley in 2, Craigster Sr. in 3, Bolo Brown in 4, and that Ford Lightning as they go up the uphill. Looks pretty even. Who's going to inch out up front? Looks like Uncle Elvis is on his hood again, smashes the landing ramp, bounces off of Bolo Brown, and skids to the finish line. That, folks, is 2 crashes for Uncle Elvis in the first 2 races. Let's go trackside and get the full report.
Good evening. I am out here live from the electrifying Rainier Rally Cross Track, and behind me you can see Uncle Elvis and his off-road Camaro flipped upside down at the finish line. It seems Uncle Elvis is having a harder time keeping this high-riding beast on its wheels than he anticipated. Now take a look at your screen now. Here is security footage from last night, and it might shed light on today's topsy-turvy performance. It shows Uncle Elvis appearing right there to overindulge at Rainier Brewing. Could this have contributed to his inverted finish? We're working to find that out. We will keep an eye on Uncle Elvis as the story unfolds, but for now, the engines are revving for race 3 of the Fast and Furious Rally Tournament. We head back to the start line because this high-octane action is far from over. Live from the track, I'm Megan, your Rainier Rallycross reporter.
Megan, thank you so much for that amazing trackside report. That takes me to my next public service announcement, and that is that drinking and driving is a terrible idea, let alone drinking and racing. All right, let's hop back to this slow motion replay. You see Uncle Elvis right here on his hood as he's leaving that jump, and as he takes off, he clips the landing ramp, sending him airborne, and then contact with Bolo Brown, almost causing Bolo Brown to go off the track. Bolo is able to save it for 3rd place, and then Uncle Elvis, as we know, slides across the finish line on his hood. We'll check that out from another angle here. There's the contact between Uncle Elvis and Bolo Brown. Also, you see Papa Pugsley and Craigster Sr. battling for 1st and 2nd place. And then, sound effect, screeching halt. There's Uncle Elvis. We have 6 points for Papa Pugsley, 7 for Craigster Sr. Bolo Brown coming right behind them at 5. And then in last place, Uncle Elvis with not 0 points, he's got 1. All right, Uncle Elvis is in the fast lane, lane 2. Let's see if he can turn this around in his favor and keep that thing on the track. Maybe he's sobering up, and he is out in front. What will happen as they come towards the finish line? Uncle Elvis on his lid again, but he does finish, and that's a close call, folks. Uncle Elvis was out in front as they go, as he went over that lane 2 bridge coming down into the finish line. I really wanted him to hold that. Craigster Sr. going so fast, he's up on 2 wheels, does recover it there, but he loses a lot of momentum going up the hill, allowing Papa Pugsley to creep in front of him there. As you see, Uncle Elvis going up that bridge, he is on his lid. All the other cars are saying, move now, we have to beat this guy, he's out of the race. Bolo Brown jumping, taking 1st, Papa Pugsley taking 2nd, and Craigster Sr.
barely sneaking by. He sees Uncle Elvis on his hood, makes that merge to the right, and slides right by Uncle Elvis at the finish line here. We'll slow that down for the finish line cam and freeze frame that. By about a half of a car, Craigster pulls out third place, and he might need those points here at the end of the race, as we have a three-way tie going into going into race 4. Uncle Elvis has 2 points. Congratulations, Uncle Elvis. You're still putting the points on the board, and it's only going to get better from here as you sober up. Bolo Brown in lane 2. Craigster Sr. in lane 1. That Camaro is out in front. Man, that thing is fast. Will he be able to keep it on the track and put some points on the board? Uncle Elvis off the track again. This is turning out to be the Uncle Elvis show in that high center of gravity Camaro. As you see there, Uncle Elvis is out in front. That Camaro is fast. He's got the horsepower. Those big tires are turning. But unfortunately, folks, he is just a little too high off the ground for these tight turns on Rainier Rally. He flies off the track, back into the Porsche dealership. Looks like those Porsche Safaris got the brunt of it here. We'll slow it down even further. Hits that jump, airborne there. He's about 37 feet in the air at this point as he's flying towards the Porsche dealership. It's an off-road Camaro, but we don't want to call it an off-track Camaro. We want him to keep that on the designated track, folks. And if it wasn't bad enough to see it a bunch of times, we're going to show it to you again from the finish line cam, the Camaro landing in the pile of Porsches at that Porsche dealership. Take a look at the carnage. That sign bent, that will need repaired. There's a bush, there's dents in those Porsche Safaris. Uncle Elvis is racking up the bill here at Rainier Rallycross. As we check out that scorecard, Papa Pugsley with 11, Craigster Sr. winning with 13, Bolo Brown right behind with 12. Uncle Elvis has got to get his beep together. All right, back to the starting line for race 5. The drivers will assume their starting positions in the first 4 races, so they're back to lane 1 for Papa Pugsley, lane 2 for Craigster Sr., which is the fastest lane, and he will be taking advantage of that here as he walks away. It looks like Uncle Elvis is pulling some trickery. He crashes, but he's taking some drivers out with him this time. It looks like he will put some points on the board. We'll slow it down and take a look to see how many he secured. Was Papa Pugsley and Bolo Brown able to get around him, or were they held up by the crashing Camaro? There you see Papa Pugsley pushing Uncle Elvis over the jump, slowing him down. Uncle Elvis puts a block on him. Bolo Brown tries to slide by, but I believe Papa Pugsley was able to slide in there and save third place. It looks like Uncle Elvis in the Camaro did get second here. There you see Papa Pugsley in the yellow Nissan Skyline getting third. And Bolo Brown catching the finish line tape. They should probably tape that down better so trucks don't flip over when they slide sideways into it. Okay, get that track crew out there and fix that finish line tape. It's race 6, NITRO. They are out of there. Uncle Elvis and the Camaro in lane 1. He is fast, but he is also furious. Furiously flying off the track more often than not. There goes Uncle Elvis again. All eyes on Uncle Elvis. I'm not even sure who won. Who was in lane 2? Papa Pugsley was in lane 2. Did he capitalize on that position, or did the fast and sophisticated Craigster Sr. overtake him in that Porsche 911 GT3 RS in that beautiful blue? Yes, that Porsche is just too fast. He wins despite being in the disadvantaged lane. We slow it down here and take a look at that finish line. Papa Pugsley coming down off that ramp. Craigster Sr. sliding right underneath him, taking the victory in race 6. And now we take a look at none other than Uncle Elvis off the track by the Porsche dealership. Big surprise. We have a tight battle for second. We have Papa Pugsley with 16, Bolo Brown with 15. Uncle Elvis might be sobering up. Someone tells me Uncle Elvis is sobering up, and he's planning to try to keep that Camaro on the track. We'll see if it pays off for him. He is in lane 2, the fastest lane. He seems to be driving a little slower, maybe keeping it a little conservative. Will he keep it on the track in lane 2? He does, but he gets struck by Craigster Sr. as he comes down from that bridge, slowing him down, hurting his chances of a decent finish. But he does keep it on all four wheels, and that's half the battle for Mr. Uncle Elvis. And now check out Craigster Sr. being side by side of Papa Pugsley despite being in the outside lane. I was so focused on Uncle Elvis staying on the track, I completely missed Craigster Sr. flying off the track, airborne at the jump, hits Uncle Elvis, bounces off Uncle Elvis, hits Bolo Brown, and still manages to come in third place despite flipping upside down, bouncing off two cars. We'll take a closer look at that. He didn't even try to make that turn. And look at all that pinball action as Craigster Sr. bounces off those cars, flips around, and still finishes. All right, heading into race 8, you'd think that Craigster will walk away with this one, but honestly, it's anyone's game. All it takes is Craigster Sr. to fly off the track and Papa Pugsley to win, and he will take the victory. Who will come out on top as they battle? Will Uncle Elvis play any part in that finish? It looks like Uncle Elvis is fast. He's out front, but you know what happens when Uncle Elvis is fast. Will he keep it on the track? Uncle Elvis out in front. That Camaro is fast when it wants to be fast, and he takes 4 points in race 8, but unfortunately, that is a little bit too late for Uncle Elvis. He spent too much time at Rainier Brewing and blew his chances of winning. You saw on that crest, that jump, the back end of the Camaro got loose. There's so much horsepower in that off-road Camaro. He does not know what to do with it, folks. Second place goes to Bolo Brown. Third place goes to Craigster Sr. Papa Pugsley coming in fourth. As we look at the replay from the finish line, you'll see the score, final score in a second, to see which two cars will move on. And it looks like Craigster Sr. with 25 points will be moving on in first place, along with Papa Pugsley and a Nissan Skyline with 21 points. Bolo Brown, thanks so much for joining us. Uncle Elvis, you have been a treat and also very entertaining. Thank you so much for being here. This has been the Fast and the Furious Tournament, Group 2 of Round 1. Until next time, stay tuned, stay passionate, and get ready for more incredible moments on the track.